Hey, what, Joe? What language do you all speak up north in the game?
Scald.
Scald.
Yep. I keep wanting to call it Ulfin because that's what we called it for a long time.
And
However, I have been recording and I don't want to cut off anymore. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to say welcome back, you guys, to the next session of our Lordly Caliber role-playing game. We are down. Adam is AFK on work, and Colin has final stuff to study for. But we still have Kane from the Interplanar Crossroads, and you will, fortunately enough for you, get your full double serving of Canadian bacon this session.
Ew.
Oh, ew. You like it. We were talking about bacon like at the end of the Starfighter game. Before we go too far with what has happened and what has been happening in our like in-character reflection for hero points and stuff, we have to roll the clock back a little bit because our favorite halfling was sick last week. So we're going to roll back. I'm not going to move the board around or anything, but we're going to go back to first question. Does Pogue have anything he wants to add about Rivariel and Callanren and their fate?
Pogue is fine with Callanren. I think Pogue would go up to Rivariel and say, hey, I'm a former Kellish slave too, and you can get past all of that, and they can take the scars off your body, and maybe the scars will remain in your heart and in your soul, but you can wear those as badges of honor and move on, and say, you can use your skills here, your fighting skills, for good. And sure beats the hell out of having to wax your hands and your feet so that you can appear cute to the nobles. So take this opportunity to make something of yourself.
Okay.
And be your own man, is what he'd say.
All right. Can we get that in the form of a check with numbers?
Sure. How about... Come on, baby. No whammies.
That is indeed not a whammy. You're rolling better than I did in all Starfinder. Yeah, okay. All right. So Rivariel will take that into consideration, and I, the GM, will take that into consideration now that I've heard from all 7 of us as we move forward. Everybody who's watched this knows that a week has passed and everybody's gone about and done their thing, and things have happened to people, but we haven't heard anything from Van. We haven't heard anything from Pogue yet. Van, a week has passed, and pretty much throughout that entire week, you haven't seen your friends, you haven't seen Mustafa, you haven't seen anybody important. On the edge of the camp, there's a little tent, and you and your little gnomish lover have spent that week locked away in that tent. 7 days have passed. There is food there. You don't basically just kind of have your little honeymoon hanging out in that tent. You had a week before more serious things begin to happen, and the morning of that 7th day dawns. What do you do?
Okay, so everybody else is kind of gathered around?
Everybody else is, unless somebody says otherwise, everybody else is staying at Fafnir's Envy, which is it's an Ulfin tavern that has been basically just picked up out of the north and deposited in this demiplane so that Enderling's family isn't targeted by the Empire while he's off fighting the Empire.
Right, I got that part. Okay, so at an opportune moment, because Pogue is something of a showman and knows how to make an entrance and that kind of thing. Whether it's dinner or something. So to give the picture, you know those old English portraits, like the Gainsborough, paintings where they'd have the family in the garden and then the kids, but they'd be dressed they would look like little adults. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think I know what you're talking about.
So Pogue comes sauntering in, looking like one of those, you know, like fully dressed to the nines, and like an adult, little like a kid dressed like an adult, right? And kind of comes into the tavern where everybody is, or the, you know, the dining area. He says, "Greetings, my friends. Did I miss anything? You can see I'm back into my normal, you know, good shape. I feel like I feel almost human again. And you know, I'm healed, and I learned how to use a whip. And let's just say that made that girlfriend into a woman. So you're looking good, Lucia. You've got that glow about you, kind of a evil glow. I can see you shining through.
I am as happy as I can be with my current situation.
Do you say that part out loud?
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
So do you literally say about my aura to me?
So I look at, I know about the or out of game, but I'm just Poe's looking like you're looking as evil as usual, and then he looks around and kind of mock and sort of, hey, where's Skullface? Skullface, where are you?
Well, if I remember, he is elsewhere. Maybe there are more Cheliax in the camp. Maybe you have better.
No, I mean, Emeritus is here if Emeritus wants to be here.
Right.
Well,
Are you there?
time is wibbly
You're not-
wobbly. Where is Scarface? Or
Scarface. He's off making enough, or you can't
He's
refuse.
dead!
No, this is up to the moment. So you've changed back. So he's like, hey, is that you, Skullface? You're looking for the better. I like it.
Thank
So what's this mean now if you're not busy sacrificing baby halflings to the devil? Like what you gonna do with your life now?
I'm not sure yet.
All right then.
I'm just taking time trying to figure things out.
Right on.
Says Scarface. That's stuck now.
Okay, so Sarah, you have been a Scarface. Now you are Scarface, and now what is your other new name going to be now?
Scarface.
Just change your name to Scarface.
So Pogue looks around the place, which is obviously a big kind of sort of the biggest edifice he's seen in a while, obviously, and he looks around. And it's like, Mr. Enderling, and he gives him a big bow with a flourish, and he says, my compliments to your family in this fine establishment. Looks like you have brought home with you. I approve.
Thank you. It's more like home has been brought to me, though. And Edric will look at his father, and then he'll look at like the.
Right. So.
Just look back.
I've decided meta for a moment that as Pogue's picking up languages, it seems like it would fit his background, sort of a courtesan and that kind of thing anyway, that he tends to pick up languages really quickly that he hears around him.
Uh-huh.
So I added Scald onto it.
Gotcha.
So. I mean, otherwise, with the Pathfinder languages and stuff, as opposed to the 5e, where it's kind of like, hey, Common you can speak to everybody, and Elven you can speak to everybody, and whatever,
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm like, so how do you learn new languages when you level up? And so it seems to me the backstory that makes sense is he's just really good at picking up languages and it's something he's used in his profession. So.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sticking with it.
I'll take it.
All right. So yeah, that's Pogue's thing. Did Smurfette ever get a name?
Smurfette does have a name. I wrote it down. I have to find it in like a really, really giant notepad file that has 8 like RP things. Where's Pogue? Her name is Nira, and it is spelled like this.
Nira. Okay. So I'm not sure what more that Pogue is supposed to know about Nira's backstory or anything, and honestly, I for me, like, hey, I have a girlfriend. I'm not planning on being like, hey, can we bring my girlfriend with me? But what I figured was that if she was lawful good, that it helps Pogue stay on the straight and narrow more for, maybe driven by things other than his, wanting to be, lawfully good.
Sure. Okay, fair enough. Well, Nira she's an ex-Eagle Knight, and she's really like,
Right.
gruff is the wrong word.
It was gruff.
Yeah, she's still really like somebody who's been in the military for all their life, pretty much. They're very like
Right.
order and business, and pretty much anywhere she goes, she has her long sword, a short sword for a medium character, but her long sword thrown on her back. She's very over the week. She's not super comfortable with the courtesan thing, but she takes it because it's part of like what makes you you. But it's still kind of like, it makes her uncomfortable, and she kind of wishes you'd like dress appropriately and take your position in the rebellion more seriously, that kind of thing.
Right. Okay.
Anywho, we'll take that as your in-character reflection for the hero point, and we'll pass it to let the D4 decide. Well, Van already did it, D4. So then we go to Joe. Joe, in-character reflection for your hero point, buddy.
Oh, thank God, I just got back. I spilled my drink.
Oh, oops.
In character reflection. Enderling's really glad that his family's back. That his family's safe. He didn't know that the Empire had such long, grasping hands to grab at the heels of the LLK. It scared him at first, but he's glad that like I said, that his family's back, and that it's especially it's a source of pride for him that Torvald is Torvald's almost beat him to joining the rebellion. Well, he didn't beat him to it, but Torvald's doing something that Enderling did, and Enderling's really happy. Yeah. He's glad everyone's safe. He's glad that Kellenran is going to go learn how to be a decent person. And yeah.
Alrighty. Take your hero point, and because the D4 will betray me, I'm just going to go down the line as I see it, and we will go to Lucia Lacroix. Donald, what you got for me?
Okay, going through Lucia's mind, she is happy that everyone is happy, but she is glad she is in the right position at the right time. Between a rock and a hard place, she made a deal with the Rat Lich, and she must follow through on the deal if she's going to get her nice reward at the end, which is going to pose quite the interesting challenge, which Lucia actually enjoys these type of challenges, using her intelligence and guile and tactics to get the tome for this person. Lucia still wants to know why the Rat Lich wants this tome, and trying to learn what his exact motives are. Maybe Lucia can use his motives somehow to advance Lucia's personal interest. But I will see what the road have for her.
Understood. Take your hero point, and we're gonna swing it over to Scarface in character reflection for your hero point nickname that is now probably stuck for the whole campaign.
Okay. Well, Emeritus still has a lot of soul searching to do, but I'm officially no longer Oracle.
I mean, you're still an oracle. You just switched
No,
to
no,
Servitor
no.
worship.
I was gonna say Oracle of Asmodeus, not. I'm not an Oracle anymore, but I'm no longer an Oracle of Asmodeus. But I've still got some like decisions to make and some life changes to go through.
Fair enough. So we are keeping the name Pop Emeritus for now.
For now,
Okay.
I probably like out of character. I want to do like I earn my name type thing, I guess.
Gotcha. Okay, cool. Take your hero point, and we will send it over to everybody's favorite old Irish druid to bring us home before we get down to business. What you got, Kane?
Francis is nervous. He's thinking about a lot of things that he hasn't thought about in about 20 years now. He's worried that his family is living once again in the shadow of war, even if it is in the relative safety of this demi-plane. And he's terrified that Mustafa will put swords in the hands of farmers if it comes to that. So mostly he's just fucking nervous right now.
All right.
He's not sure what's going to happen.
Okay, fair enough. Take your hero point, and everyone's old favorite Irish cream puff. Okay, so around this time, you guys see the door to Fafnir's Envy opens, and Mercutio and Mustafa, they both walk in. I'm assuming everyone is sitting, like, unless somebody wants to be just, like, petulant and antisocial, I assume everyone is sitting, like, somewhat around the same table. And,
I know he's probably behind the bar.
no, yeah, fair enough, you do work here. So, Mustafa walks in, and he sits himself at the biggest table he can find, and just, as he does so, his body shrinks down to medium so he can fit in the chair. And, my friends, please, come. We have much to discuss.
Right.
Mercutio sits down next to him too. He looks very like smug and pleased with himself. He also looks like he's put on like 20 pounds.
I would have my familiar accompany me. I would probably imagine during the week my familiar would probably make a nice raven nest in the demi-plane somewhere, doing bird things.
Fair enough.
Yeah, so my raven come in. Melvin. Look like we are going to get some action, and not the kind of action that you want. I know you had a look at some of the female ravens, but not today, my friend.
For the record, you are probably the only raven in the Kadiran demi-plane. Well, maybe
I
not.
mean, I would assume there are other birds, so maybe... I know, Melvin, you had eyes on other birds, but not today.
Magpie comes in the bar, and he is offended. You go to sit down.
No comment.
You go sit down and you join Mercutio, and as you do so, he spreads out this map. It's a really, really, imagine, I can't think of the Marauders map from Harry Potter. As he spreads it out, a map of Qadira just kind of like burns itself into existence. My friends, there is much to do, and in honor of your service and in honor of the daring rescue, and he looks at Pogue specifically as he's saying this, the daring rescue that you helped us put together, and in honor of all the lives you have saved, I have decided to make you the captains of your very own battalion. We will assign you 1,000 men. We will send you into the Empire. We will send you messages as we can. And he gets a little, like, distant as he begins to, like, there is much that I myself must do, but I promise I will get with you as I can, and I will advise you as I can. For the time being, I grant you a certain degree of autonomy. I assign Mercutio as your quartermaster. He will see to your gearing. He will see to any buying and selling you have to do. If you have any questions, now would be the time. But he
I
just
have
looks
just
up at
one
you guys.
question. What?
He laughs.
I'm not a soldier.
But according to Mercutio, it was your idea to teleport into the prison, and I had thought about making you the captain of the battalion yourself, little one.
I'm a lover, not a fighter.
I was gonna say I'm 11. I'm like,
you are the
what?
perfect leader. You are more charming than some of the other people at the camp here. You're the perfect perfect person for the role.
Look, there's only one soldier I want following my orders, and she's already doing that. So, what am I going to do with 1,000 men?
You will lead them across the Empire. You will free people who have been captured by the Empire. You will help us take Qadira back for the Qadirans. You will help us escort those who cannot fight or who refuse to fight across the border to safety. Again, you will have, to a point, your own autonomy. And he just kind of looks back, and Mercutio is like he looks like he's gained about 20 pounds, and you imagine this whole week he's just been kind of like stuffing his little halfling face, but he looks very pleased with himself.
So Pogue looks at Mercutio and goes, "Hey, fatty, this your idea?"
I don't know what you're talking about. I was going to try to do... I cannot find a Danny DeVito voice, so he's going to be just weird, kind of half Willem Dafoe.
Just do Joe Pesci. Joe Pesci, take that.
Joe Pesci's an NPC in a game that Sarah's...
Oh, no.
What?
You inherited it from Josh.
Oh God, yeah.
But yeah, he just kind of smiles and leans back.
So, Mustafa, I'm all for the fighting. But that's a tiresome amount of people. And I sneak, I stab, I use my brains, not my brawn.
Well, of course. And if you choose not to lead from the front, he looks up, we have one of the finest elfin warriors I have ever laid eyes on, pointing at Enderling. We have the newest inductee to the cult of the Dawnflower, looking over at Scarface. His eyes pretty much glaze right over Lucia with nothing to say. We have the near world-famous seer of Varisia, who is very quiet this entire session, unless somebody feels like they want to bot Xandu. And we have one who knows the land, one who has much family to defend. If you do not wish to lead from the front, my friend, you do not need to lead from the front, but these soldiers, they will be yours to command. And as he says yours, he spreads his hands out to indicate everybody.
So what kind of soldiers?
Well, he stands up and makes his big formal gesture, inviting you to walk outside. If you will follow me, you can meet them.
Is he gesturing to everyone?
Yeah.
Okay. I follow along.
All right, so you guys step out there, and as soon as Mustafa steps out, you guys hear the sound of several hundreds of boots slamming into the ground as people go to attention. Most of the soldiers standing in front of you, they just have simple leather armor, big wooden shields and spears, and very multiple colored turbans and cloth over top of their armor. That makes up the bulk of it. You can see behind them, you imagine they're mounted on some kind of horse because they're sitting over top. There are men with they have these metal masks covering their face. They're wearing back here in the sun, it glints like scale mail, and you can hear their horses kind of nervously stamp the ground. You can see all of them have arrows, not arrows sticking out of them, arrows and quivers on their back sticking 45-degree angle off their shoulder. There are interspersed with the like your bulk infantry, essentially, there are several much skinnier humanoids that all wear these. They're wearing like hide armor that's basically been like cured into leather, but not entirely there. And they've got these black veils that hang like down around their chin. They have short spears on their back, and they're all holding bows. Interspersed between them, there are about, you would imagine, with a basic like head count, about 100 of these men dressed in like red and silver robes. These men are yours to command. And again, they just kind of like, they take spears to shields, and you can hear like horses begin to like back as the horsemen behind them just kind of like raise their bows up. Not camels, horses.
Ostriches.
No, we're not doing that. We did that once. Joe knows.
Halfling cavalry did not last long.
So, all right. So,
I guess I should also say, you guys see Mercutio's magical size changing caravan is parked like off to the side, and his dog, who you know speaks Draconic and has a lot more going on to him than just like big dumb Clifford the Big not red German Shepherd, is like parked alongside.
right. So,
Dog.
so Pogue is doing his best, inspecting the military parade thing that he's seen, you know, his former clients doing, you know, that kind of thing.
Uh-huh.
Walking up and down the front and kind of tapping at people's boots and, you know, seeming to look up and down and he stops and he turns around and he says to Mustafa, or Mustachio, or whatever his name is. He says, Pistachio. He says
to a big bag of nuts.
Nuts. He says, nuts. He says, I must commend you on your brilliant scouts. I can't see them anywhere. Where are your sneaky people?
Make a perception check.
You know, if there are actually scouts, that's fine. He wasn't looking for them. He's being an asshole. So
I understand. Do make a perception check though.
Okay.
I have to admit, I'm a bit curious about the scouts myself. I'm expected to guide an army through the wild.
Okay, so you don't see somebody lift your sword, scabbard and all, off you, and then you feel like somebody tap you on the shoulder. And there's a really like lanky, skinny woman dressed again in the like not quite hide, not quite leather armor with a black veil hanging like under her chin, and she just kind of like taps you on the forehead with the pommel of your weapon, and then hands it back to you. She nods and then falls back in line without saying a word.
So Pogue turns around, of course, astonished or, you know, surprised, and then looks back and at Mustafa and is like, and a little smile. God. So he's mollified for the moment.
There you go, Joe.
Just as bad. Right next to it.
Yeah, on the digital dice.
All right, he's good for now.
Okay.
He's gonna stop making trouble and start thinking about what he could actually do with a scouting band that, you know, or, you know, people that are sneaky that, you know, aren't loud, noisy, and
sure.
Okay.
Make one more perception check, actually. Okay, so you see at the back where your cavalry is, most of the humanoids mounted on, by and large, horses. Like I said, they've got scale armor on, and like the mask looks like it's made of like mithril, and it covers their face. But in like, they form a circle, and in the middle of that circle, there is it kind of looks like a centaur, but instead of being a horse on the bottom, it's a lion on the bottom. she just kind of like, she looks really impatient as she looks around. The top is obviously like very attractive humanoid female. She has a couple of scimitars and she just kind of like drums them against each other. You get the feeling that all of the like horsemen are like deferring to her, but she definitely does not want to be there.
Right.
Mustafa looks towards everybody else, and if there are any questions, I am here to answer them. And if you have any friends within the camp who you would like to accompany you, I'm sure we can arrange it.
Tommy, I can't remember the one monk fighter that was at the base camp. What was his name?
Be more specific. Are you talking about the tiefling? Because there's been like 5 monks, dude.
No. I remember when we were in the mines.
Oh, ZL.
ZL?
You talking about
yes.
the dude with fire on his head?
Yeah. Yes. I think it's ZL.
Zeal?
Yeah, ZL. I think it was.
Okay.
Yeah. Mufasa. What is the group casters like? How many do we have?
Well, like I said, there's about 100 people interspersed with your infantry, and they're wearing red and white robes. They carry there's a like around their neck they're wearing amulets, so like it kind of looks like a humanoid fist wrapped up in bandages, but it's so wrapped up in bandages it's hard to tell like whether or not it's just necessarily just like a circle covered in what looks like bandages.
So the 1,000 group we have definitely have clerics, wizards, and the divine casters, which will be quite nice. Coming.
Make a knowledge religion check, would you?
Okay.
So while he's doing that, I have a question. So the cavalry clearly looks like they've already got kind of a leader. Do the rest of them already look like they've got leaders and we're just sort of the figureheads?
More or less. Like like you can tell the Lamia, because you know that's a Lamia. She's definitely the one in charge there, and you can tell because she's super gigantic and magical and stuff. The rest of the groups is just kind of like interspersed in between. There are men with better armor, better weapons, things like that. You imagine your leadership role will be a little more in terms of like you give commands, they'll follow them. Donald, your knowledge religion check, it informs you that it appears these men wearing red and white are clerics of the Imperial Lord Dalinidra. She is an Imperial Lord concerned with like battlefield healing, and clerics of Dalinidra, upon entering into the faith, they take very serious, very strict oaths of nonviolence. These guys are complete and total pacifists to avoid the death and the wounds that they have to fix on the battlefield.
So are they going to be a liability with their vows?
In the opinion of the lawful evil Chelish person, it's entirely possible.
I am just thinking from a tactic mindset. Are they going to be a liability? Not including the lawful evil part, just from a commander point of view. Are they a liability point of view?
Because, Lucy's an experienced battlefield commander with extensive knowledge.
I mean, my character is pretty intelligent and a bit of a tactician when it comes to using spells. So I'm just trying to figure how to use them.
Back that up with some kind of check, then, would you?
Okay,
using people, you mean?
So let's see. It's people. So what about knowledge local?
That should be fun.
Right. Is there a thieves' cant in?
There is not.
Okay.
Okay, Donald. So you see, like, rather, the oaths that worshippers of Dalinidra take are really, really serious oaths, and they're pretty much respected everywhere you go in the multiverse. though, I mean, like, you're dealing with an empire that has lots of slaves and has lots of like things like that. But like the general consensus is you don't strike down a follower of Dalinidra on the battlefield. They'll defend themselves, but they're not going to like go out of the way to attack. If they get cornered, like they're all carrying like they've got light maces and shields, they'll defend themselves, but if you order them to go like attack somewhere, they're not going to go along with it.
They're
Okay.
kind of like the Red Cross.
More or less, yeah.
Okay, cool. Good to know what they can do. I was just thinking, a non-combatant that cannot fight, that's a liability for a future fight to happen.
No, it's not.
Yeah, I'm just thinking, generally warfare, it's bad to bring civilians or conscripts who are not trained properly, but at least they are trained, which is quite
Right.
nice.
Yeah, they
They're
know how to
medics.
defend themselves. Yeah.
They're medics.
And like an honorable opponent isn't going to go hunting down the clerics of Dalinidra.
Yeah, true.
These
My
guys will
character
probably
wouldn't-
just stay like wherever your camp is.
It's good to know we have pretty good medics.
Mhm.
So are there any wizard units in there, or are they just mostly divine types?
You don't see any arcane casters. You know, unless Pogue is keeping it a secret, you know there's a Lamia hanging out in the back, and Lamias have a little bit of like basic magic, but you don't have like a brigade of fireball artillery, say, that kind of thing.
That's a shame because a wave of fireballs is quite useful. So the forces is mostly medics and martial type of people then.
Make a knowledge local check.
Was there looks like there's maybe some ranged, right?
You know,
Light cavalry and ranged.
the cavalry you guys have, this is running off the knowledge check that Donald's made. You don't know the name of the tribe off the top of your head because there are many and the tribes are hard to pronounce. But these guys look like they come from central Casmaron, where like the region is called the Grass Sea, and it's been dominated for thousands of years by horse nomads. And that's what they look like. That's what it looks like. Is following you around. Same idea with the people with the black veils. There might be a little bit of spellcasting in there, like maybe not every single solitary last one of them, but you imagine somebody might have like somebody meta might have taken like a hunter level or a cleric level or something like that. What is your knowledge history check for, Van?
Just to see if I got see what Pogue knows about.
Well, you know that even before the Kelishite Empire had come into Kadira and then subsequently been run out by the Taldans, you know this part of the world was dominated by people like nomads and horse lords and things like that. So
Right.
you imagine of all the people that you've seen who have dogs in this fight, these guys might have the most fervent reason to drive the Empire out, because these guys have probably been living in this part of the world and farther for generations upon generations upon generations.
Right. I figured it's with his clientele that he would have had various nobility and leaders that talked about military and stuff. So
You probably just hear people complaining about like some unwashed tribe from the east causing trouble. These guys have never really
right.
gone along with the Empire at all. They just kind of like, they'll go out and they'll raid even before the days of the Revolution and then disappear off into a sandstorm or disappear into the hills only to come back out again and just like repeat that process forever and ever.
Right. No, I just meant like if you think about it, he probably has. I mean, he's got this, you know, +7 on all of his knowledge stuff anyway. But that he's got the background from, you know, he isn't a military man. He's not a historian, but he would have heard a lot of the stories and a lot of the things and put things together. So.
Okay.
He has some idea. I think that would be my argument when the role behind it. So
Sure, I hear you. Okay.
anyway,
Mustafa continues to just like look around at everybody else. Everyone continues to stand at attention, looking at you guys, almost like just immediately on waiting for orders mode, with the exception of that Lamia who continues to just like drum her scimitars together, twirl them around a little bit.
With the 12, do I get anything or?
You get about the same stuff I told Van.
Poe, look like we have a pretty good group at your command, Commandant.
yeah, whatever.
Did Lucia take a whole bunch of depressants? What the hell?
I am terrible doing accents.
Hey, me too. You just gotta fake it till you make it, dude. You got this.
So Pogue's gonna turn around and look at Enderling and.
You see Enderling about to make a perception check.
Okay. So,
He's pulled out the magnifying glass, just leaning in.
great. So Pogue glances at the druid and says, well, if Woody doesn't have anything to say, then you seem to be the most martial out of all of us, Mr. Enderling.
Not that Enderling's ignoring, you say, but he's going to look at...
Right.
He ignores you and continues his magnifying glass.
No, not that he's ignoring you, but he's ignoring you.
Yeah. He's looking for boats, and he's going to, like, look at like, where are the boats?
There are no
Where's my
boats.
safe place?
There are no boats in the desert demiplane.
Where are our boats?
No boats.
And Pogue tries to keep a straight face.
It is
You
a shame.
expect us to wage a war without boats?
Maybe if we get some engineers under Poe command, we can probably make desert boats, have giant sails, put a siege, basilisk onto the onto the desert boat.
And go feed people to the Sarlacc? Is that what you're getting at here?
No.
We're gonna play Cards
I
one way
want
or
to.
another.
I want to. Picture this. I want to have a desert battleship boat that we could use to go through the desert.
Sounds like you need to put some points in knowledge engineering then, because I'll let it happen if you can do it.
Yeah. Well, if we
But
can
any
get.
asshole can run around on land. It's boats.
Yes, we need to
Boats is
have
where
desert.
it's at.
We need to have a navy of the best desert boats possible.
I've put the command of this
land boats.
battalion in command of the
Land
worst
boats.
PCs I've ever put.
Yes,
Enderling just
definitely.
looks at Lucia disdainfully, just like, fuck you.
I need
Have you
land
heard of-
boats!
Yes, land boats is a saying. I read it once in a book. With a pretty good wind, you can glide across the sand. It's a
Bullshit.
viable tactic if we can get a
Have
boat.
you ever tried to drive
of that.
across sand?
Yes,
Hey, BB-8 can do it.
Mustafa
Oh.
continues to look at everybody else and just kind of like,
Oh,
And-
well,
yeah, no, and he's
we're
not
not going to
joking.
wage a war from within this demi-plane, are we? We'd have to leave.
Exactly.
The sand boats are something of a moot point, isn't it?
Yeah.
well,
Exactly.
we can use them for travel outside of the demi-plane. I thought you
So Pogue
made a.
turns to Mustafa and says, so where do we go first? Where do we go first?
Mustafa snaps his fingers and that map, the like Marauders map style thing that he left on the table, flies out and like hovers in front of you. First, we will send you, and he points kind of like, there's a bit of the map where like, he points to it and like apple trees kind of like, they don't sprout like it three-dimensionally out of the map, but like they draw themselves in and it labels itself the orchard. Kazaha has been deployed there. He knows a woman at this orchard, and it is close enough to the border with Kazmaran, yet close enough to the border with the Empire that it requires defending, and we are sending those who do not wish to fight or those who cannot fight to the orchard, and from there on to the safety of the Padishah Empire of Kalesh. This might be a good place for you to start. Again, you have a certain degree of autonomy, and once you leave this demiplane, it may be some time before I contact you, as there are things I must handle as well. Again, Mercutio will see to all of your needs. He will see to the supplies and the food of your men. He will see to any gear that you may wish to purchase yourself. He makes this kind of, like, Mercutio gets a really, like, dumb, shitty grin on his face and just nods.
With what gold?
Mercutio, he like clears his throat really like and he just kind of like, again, he's probably a little closer to waddling because he spent pretty much this entire week. He's probably actually spent a lot of it in Fafnir's envy, just like eating and drinking and not having to worry about fighting, and
He fat.
he indeed fat. He can get you guys about 60,000 gold worth of gear split amongst the however many of you there are.
Shit.
For each of us, or divided?
Divided.
So 60,000 divided. And how many in the party?
2, 3, 4, 5.
There are 6 of you.
6.
Okay, so
10,000 each.
what about equipment for the troops?
He's already taken that out.
Yeah.
Okay, so 10,000 gold.
He's also taken off like
1,000.
he's taken off like food and supplies and stuff like that.
Ooh.
Equip
We go on
themselves.
a shopping trip.
I mean, I'm not opposed to maybe some new pants. You know, I've been wearing these rough spun woolen clothes for the last 15 years.
Wait, how have you been wearing the same? How have you been wearing the same set of clothes for 15 years? Doesn't it get itchy?
Well, I bathe.
He
It's
just
not like
doesn't
I-
wash.
It's not like I, eat and shit and piss in these clothes.
No, of course not.
It's just they're a symbol of my station. They're the only clothes I own, actually.
You could stand some new threads. Let me help you out. We'll get you set up in a new outfit.
Makeover.
Yeah.
Mercutio also thinks that he can find contacts throughout the multiverse that can like buy things that you pick up.
So how much time do we have exactly for the next area we are going to?
You guys will be dispatched pretty much immediately.
Okay. I have no idea what I would even buy.
A boat.
A boat.
And just leave
But
it
we
sitting in the sand.
Can we take a boat there?
You
So
guys,
I don't actually know the geography. Is there actually a boat? Like once we're off of this demiplane?
I mean, there's probably a boat somewhere, but like Kadira has an ocean on its like western border, but other than that, you're pretty much landlocked. And most of the rivers you're going to run into, by and large, are going to be just like little tiny terrible things. Nothing big enough
Right.
for like, I mean, like elfin longboats aside.
Right.
So-
You said longboat.
So how much? So when we get back, the gear that we buy, we will have it by then.
Yeah, he can get it to you immediately.
Okay, cool.
Wow. Well, so the first thing we're doing is we're going to secure an orchard.
You guys are going to make sure that, like, you're just helping people along the way, keeping Imperial forces away from, like, essentially the path to freedom for people who are unable to fight.
It's a kind of guarding a pilgrimage type of thing.
Ish.
Ish. Okay.
And he's gonna save his money. He just needs 13,000 to buy a keel boat. So
Yeah, and how are you going to buy a river?
we're gonna buy a river. We're gonna find a river.
With the newfound wealth we have, my recommendation is we at least keep 2,000 gold so I can enchant your gear and armor.
You
Oh,
do
no.
owe +1 weapon to
True,
Francis.
true.
Also, I'm gonna say now that does involve like caster level checks and stuff. So like, if you want to do it, let me know so we can roll it.
+1. Who do you owe a +1 to?
He owes a +1 weapon to Francis for I don't remember why,
Yeah.
but because he pulled him out of a
I
hole.
don't know. Yeah.
Yes. I mean, as long as I take a 10, the DC is relatively low for such magic
Yeah,
items, and my
But taking 10,
spellcraft is pretty high.
taking 10, I believe, requires failing first.
Yeah, you would have to roll it.
True. Even if I get a natural 1, I would beat the DC still for the...
No,
for
because
that.
you would roll a natural 1 and you would fail it.
Exactly.
Yeah, I
Divinity's
thought
only
to-
taking 20 that does that.
Oh, I thought you couldn't fail on rolls.
But we have been for like 11 sessions, so that's how I
True.
run
As
here.
long as I don't get a natural 1, it's a easy DC for me to beat.
Mhm.
Taking 10.
I'm gonna say like whether or not he takes 10, it's something he has to roll because I know there's a chance he screws up and it comes out cursed. So
So we're not at the moment though. We're not shopping anyway, right? We're role playing.
yeah, I mean you can if you want to. I'm not gonna stop you.
Should we? Well, we'll see. It may. I mean, personally, meta out of game. I'd rather do it between sessions. If you're saying, "Hey, here's 10K, figure out what you want."
Yeah, that's fine.
But
Just if somebody tries to craft something, I need to see if they have the caster level to craft it, and then they need to roll for it, which would
Right.
need to be done like where I can see it.
but so I don't know anything about the crafting. So
Well, actually, I know he's just gonna buy a +2 and natural armor.
anyway, he's so
That would go over your amulet of mighty fists.
Yeah, I rather not. It's just a +1. I'll sell it, and I'll rather just take the +2 to my armor class. As I always say, I'd rather not be hit than hit everything.
Well, are you wearing any rings?
No,
You could just take a ring of protection.
yeah, that's true. I don't know if that cost translates.
Same price. It's just a deflection bonus instead of a natural armor bonus.
Mm-hmm.
Check that really quickly. I feel like they're different costs. Not doubting that you're.
I could be wrong. I'm
I think he's right. I think it's the same.
just going off memory.
Yeah, it turns out you can't type in ring of protection into this app because it's just fucks you.
Also, I'm gonna say now while I have everybody selling stuff is half price.
okay.
+1 is 2,000. +2 is 8,000.
So yeah, I have 3,000 gold to play with afterwards.
Tommy. So the gear we can buy through the multiverse, there is no limit on what we can buy.
There's probably a
exactly.
limit, Don.
I know. I know.
For you,
I know.
Donald, there's a limit.
He's just gonna
I
show
know-
up
I
with
know.
like an artillery shell from Earth and just throw it at people.
I am just
crab tank.
I am just asking because certain items have certain alignment or arrows, so I'm just asking now.
Not a carb tank.
Probably ask first if you think there's gonna be like a question there. If you think I might not be okay with it, ask.
Okay, there are some pretty useful necromancer items in the ultimate equipment, so I'm just asking now.
Okay, that's fine.
All right.
Oh, wait a second.
Published Paizo, right?
Yes.
Okay. So, all right. So, in the meantime, I think Pogue is interested in talking out plans with people, and he wants to. I think he sees himself as the kind of the scout lightweight, advanced person, and mumbling something to himself about lead from behind. You can follow my behind, he says, under his breath in his stage voice, and sort of stage under his voice, right? Like whoever will listen, or whoever might hear it, and little huff, and then goes over to the person who picked his or took his sword and holds his fingers up in front of him, snaps, and says, and like points with him and marches off somewhere.
All right, they will follow you.
So I don't know what's up with these other guys.
If I ask you to make a holy sling, will you explode?
Good question.
I don't think she can. I'm pretty sure the crafter has to be good aligned for that.
She can't explode, or she can't craft it?
She can't craft it. She might explode.
I literally cannot explode.
Protection from explosions.
Well, I mean, that's a useful talent.
Yeah, creator must be good.
Yeah, okay. It's really
So,
the only weapon he has.
So while we're sitting here playing, does anybody have any particular ideas on how we're going to run this combat? Or are we just going to kind of?
I don't know. I'm interested in what you have to say. You and I are about as much a soldier as the other, but apparently we're gonna have to learn.
Mm-hmm.
So the area we're going to. So what size it is exactly?
What size is it?
Yeah, I am just thinking what type of spells I need to prepare.
Think like, well, make a knowledge check.
So
We'll see what you think.
Knowledge geography?
Yeah, that actually comes in. Yeah, go for it. So Qadira is mostly a desert. As you get farther north, which you will be, it kind of turns into more of like a grassland. And there's, weirdly enough, there is jungle in Qadira, and there are like expansive forests like you would find anywhere else across like the inner sea region. But by and large, you're thinking most of the fighting is probably going to take place over like vast expansive deserts and grasslands. The occasional, like, you imagine there will be urban warfare. You'll probably be going over walls at some point, stuff like that.
Any hills?
Yeah.
Okay. The sort of savanna type stuff?
Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe a little, well, yeah.
It depends.
Maybe a little more arid than that.
Okay.
Also, like, camping in the middle of the desert, you might get lost real easy because, like, the wind changes the terrain when sand dunes are formed all over the place, that kind of stuff.
Right. Do any of my scouts, Pogue, thinking of them already as my scouts, have any navigation or whatever skills, the ability to kind of keep us straight?
You imagine, like I said, these guys, even the ones that aren't on horseback, these guys have like, they've lived in this part of the world forever, and they've all been nomads.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So Pogue, with his crew behind him, kind of stops the rest of the people, and when the druid addresses him, he says, "Well, the way I figure it, we seem to have managed to come together and work together somehow to get this far. And now it's on a bigger scale. And the way that we've done it has been by a combination of some stealth and headbanging the right people at the right times, and some magic in there, here and there. So I think that if we organize ourselves so that we know what we are facing, and then we can bring the strong guys to bear when we need to, then we should be able to protect our families and our friends.
Okay, she nods.
Well, he's talking to
Francis.
Oh, okay.
Francis.
I thought you said the scout was following you.
Well, she may nod too, but
She does.
right, okay. So she nods behind him, and
Well,
and so that's why. But he's really addressing Francis and the rest of them if they're so.
to be fair, I feel like perhaps a significant portion of it thus far has been dumb luck from my perspective, but you make a good point.
We want to rely less on the dumb luck, I think, and more on what we learn from our experiences. Don't you think?
Oh, that's probably. I'm just saying it's worked for me thus far.
Yeah, this Poke's like, ha 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 ha.
We're gonna die.
We're gonna die. Poke's really like, at this point, kind of wishing Enderling would get off the ship thing and figure out how he's going to fight on land.
There's no problem fighting for Enderling on land. It's not about fighting on land. It's the fact that he can't escape on ship.
Right? No. He knows that, but I mean, I know that, but Poke's like, need the big guy to step up and be like, hey, I'll lead the soldiers, or like. So Pogue looks at Enderling and says, Master Enderling, you come from like a big warrior culture, right? Like you guys have wars all the time, right?
You just look at him and just kind of like, of course.
So you would actually know what to do with 1,000 men?
No, I've only lived for 15 years.
He's only 15 years old.
Here we go again.
Enderling has the mindset of a very intelligent, like, 8-year-old. He will smash and kill things all you want, and he is very intelligent, but his wisdom and his charisma are in the dumps.
So Pogue is a little bit shell-shocked, crestfallen that Enderling is 15.
Well,
We're all gonna die.
Enderling doesn't know this, but he's been an adult since he was 2 years old.
Okay.
So,
Well, physically.
yes.
So which of you
It's no one's fault but your own. You grow like a rutabaga.
can any of you ride a horse?
Aye.
Okay, you're in charge of the cavalry.
What?
Torvald taught me a little bit about how he was taught to fight at the Hof, so it involves a lot of hit and run. If there's anyone who knows that, like, how to hit and run, I do understand that.
What about
Turn on my fucking fan.
organized foot infantry? Don't we need brigades or something of those?
I don't think there's enough of us for that.
Well, okay. So what do we do with all these guys in their boots?
And I don't understand cavalry. They're so bulky and they take up so much room. It's
Okay.
infantry that we fight with in the north.
You're in charge of the infantry. Pogue says.
Horses are a lot harder to hide. They're very good at covering ground. Are they
You can put 'em on a boat.
Are they horse archers? Or are they like swordsmen?
A little bit of both.
Oh, okay.
Paul, can you make traps?
Out of character, can I make traps?
Yeah, I'm just curious.
You would need there's
Do
feats
you
for
have
it.
trap making?
Oh, there's a
Are
feat
you
for
a
it. I do not have what?
Are you a
Are
kobold?
you a kobold?
Yeah,
No, I'm not a kobold, and I do not have a trap making feat.
Oh, okay. So you don't have craft traps, then?
No, I'm good at disabling them.
Just not the other way
That's a
around.
shame.
Right.
Okay, that's a shame because if using traps is a good way to delay or at least harm a army advancing.
But here's the thing. I think that, and I don't know if I have to roll for this or what I would anyway, but I think that we have people on the move and that we're not going to be really preparing fortified positions that where we're facing an army. We want to keep them moving, do we not?
True. It is just an idea. We could use traps potentially.
What
Traps
Lucy
on a
says
battlefield?
has a degree of sense to it, but it would require us to ambush forces while they were moving.
It is a situational tactic we may use.
Well,
Right.
exactly. In a defensive situation, a set of traps can be quite useful as well. If we're being attacked and we know where they're coming from.
Or
Right.
it's possible we could use cavalry to draw them into an ambush.
There we go.
Enderling doesn't understand cavalry. I wish we had boats.
So Pogue looks at Francis and says, "And you would understand how to do that."
I've got a vague idea.
I've played Total War before.
All right, you're in charge of the cavalry. You can ride a horse and you know what you're doing. That's good enough for me.
Oh, that's debatable.
More than I do. Okay, big man, you're in charge. So maybe what we do, and feel free, Scarface and Lucia, to jump in here when you have some ideas, because I don't know what to do with you.
As long as I'm in the right place at the right time, I can use my talent to weaken the enemy.
Lucy's gonna ride that dumb luck thing as hard as she can.
Well, I'm a wizard. I am a squishy thing, pretty much. So for the spells I have, I could use color spray, pause feel, pretty much debuffing spells, and AOE or multiple target type of spells. If
So Pogue, his eyes brighten up, forgetting for a moment that it's actually Lucia that's got him, excited for a second here. Not that kind of excited, Lucia, but and he's snapping it, and he snaps his fingers and he goes, You could do the traps. Well, not really like, traps, but you could do where we lead them into so that you can do your thing, and then Enderling and the soldiers can take them out. How about that?
The thing is, if I'm by myself or not protected properly, I can't really be all that useful.
Well, of course not. Of course not. But you could, couldn't you do you could be with the troops and you could cast the spell in front of them.
True.
Right. That's what I mean.
Yeah, I could ride along on one of the cavalry horses and ride that way. Tommy, correct me if I'm wrong. If I use the withered spell, summon mount, do I need to make a DC check to maintain the horse?
Yeah,
Yes,
you would need to. There's probably a ride check involved, depending on how crazy the spell is and how the horse reacts. But there's certainly there's a concentration DC for it too.
Okay.
Or a natural 20 intimidating check.
Maybe during the fight, I can probably resurrect a dead horse and have a skeleton horse for me to command then.
What are you
Or
gonna
you
eat that dead horse?
Or you could, oh God, or you could walk. Maybe they could. Maybe Fatty over there can use the same stretcher that they're going to carry his ass around the field on to carry you too. That would work.
Well, these
It's talking about Mercutio.
Yeah, you say this, and he kind of like looks up, hurt, as he's digging through like bags of holding inside bags. Well, that makes like a rift in the universe. Let's not do that.
Well,
Bags of holding with other like bags of holding and stuff, like pulling out. We'll assume the shopping is happening like now-ish, and he's pulling out the stuff you guys want.
Wait, I thought we had to wait a day to get the gear.
No, you can get it right away. He can. I mean, you've seen this cart at session 1. He can pretty much just like. You don't know exactly what's going on there, but you know, like, if you want it, you can sell it.
Okay, I would probably tell Paul that the thing is, I'm not that great at riding a horse. Mechanically, I have a 1 in ride, pretty much. So, pretty much 50-50 if I'm going to fall off a horse or not. Fall off a horse or not.
But if you're with the foot soldiers, you won't need to ride a horse.
Yeah, they're only slightly worse than my 5 in ride.
Yeah.
Landry has none in ride, so.
Yeah, neither do I.
same.
Well,
Not even a class skill.
One. If we're just talking about from decks and shit,
All of Pogue's riding skills are covered under courtesan. That's all I'm going to say about that. All right.
If you try to use that in combat, there will be a problem.
Get caught with his cheese hanging in the breeze.
Yeah.
So
Ride
anyway.
a horse, you don't get behind it.
Right. So he turns around to Papa, who's been pretty quiet. Just looks at him and waits expectantly.
What you got, Scarface?
Papa Emeritus is feeling kind of awkward because he doesn't quite know his place yet in terms of, like, I don't want to say social status, but, like, he's not quite sure where he fits quite yet.
Make a knowledge religion check. Okay, so you've converted to Sarenrae worship. And you've been converted by a member of the Cult of the Dawnflower, so that's very, like, Sarenrae is all about forgiveness. Sarenrae is all about, like, no matter who you are or where you've came from, stuff like that, anybody can be redeemed, but you were converted by somebody who's like, I'm going to give you one chance to redeem, and then if you don't want it, then you get put to the sword, essentially.
Okay.
As far as, like, your place in the hierarchy of that faith, you don't know. You know you're carrying around one of Sarenrae's servitors. You know the sword at your hip talked to you for a little while. You know it's a legendary item that appears at, like, the time of great need for heroes and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, I am a great hero.
Yeah.
Alright.
But where you fit, it's kind of up to you. You just know it's not all about, like, absolute power and everybody respects their betters and those below you, like, owe you, like, unwavering service forever and contracts oh my.
Okay. Alright. Emeritus says that, he says that he can do whatever you need him to do for this, battle.
There will be several more.
Several more battles?
Yeah.
Okay, that was
Like, you guys have been given command of a battalion. You're a ranking officer. And, like, Mustafa has told you, it's not going to end with Qadira. Pretty much all of, like, I mean, you see the map on our overlay. I will bring it up. That, you guys are, like, in this corner. And it's all coming down.
Alright.
Where are we?
You guys don't see it, but you guys are, well,
do it.
I'll have another map ready of, like, Qadira proper next session.
Okay.
Now I'd have to, like, stop everything, make something. But, like, everybody knows there's, like, thousands of miles of Imperial territory across pretty much all of southern Avistan, pretty much like all the way up north, like through like Xandu isn't here, but where he's from, half of that is in Imperial hands. Half of like the southern hold of Belkzen is in Imperial hands. That kind of thing.
Okay.
All right. All I have is that I'm not. I probably shouldn't be put in charge of the cavalry because I only have 0 ranks in ride.
Yeah, no cavaliers here.
Nope.
I think Woody is going to take care of the horses.
Woody.
I mean, Francis.
Like Bullseye and
shit.
Yep, just one podunk druid.
Yeah. Lives in the woods. Or something.
Or something.
Nature and trees and shit.
That's what Pogue thinks, right? He's got he quickly kind of categorizes everybody. Skullface, Woody, evil lady. That's pretty much it.
Enderling gets nothing.
That's Master Enderling. He's impressed with him.
Yeah.
Oleg is probably better at riding a horse than Francis.
Just leave it in charge. Leave the Leshy to like sit with the cavalry.
Go on.
No, that's what the Lamia is for.
Yeah. Like I said, everybody has their own like individual like sub commanders and stuff like that. You can easily see there's plenty of people in like better armor.
I'm just looking at the spell tab. I can easily use Deep Slumber on a unit troop.
I mean, kind of.
I mean, how do sleep effect spells work on troops units exactly?
They probably fail.
Yeah, much the same way that it would fail if you used it on a swarm.
Mm.
Okay.
Like, flavor-wise, you'd probably knock a couple people out, but then here comes 100 more.
You can't slumber on a troop. They just kind of like leave his body behind as the charge.
They probably just assume he got like an arrow in the chest and fell over.
Okay, so I should probably say.
But what about like area of effect, like gas or something?
Fireball is damage and a half.
Yeah, that's way different.
Mm.
Yeah, because sleep, you're not doing a damage effect that's against a single component. Area of effect, you're actually like throwing a big old bomb in the middle of a crowd of people.
Yeah, so like single target effects like Deep Slumber or Finger of Death or Disintegrate.
Not gonna do anything.
It wouldn't mechanically have any real effect.
Mm-hmm.
I'm thinking of all those posies in the Wizard of Oz. Yeah.
The poppies?
Poppies, I mean, sorry. Poppies.
He's thinking of all the opium in Wizard of Oz.
Right. Yeah, the poppies.
Well, I mean, have you ever seen The Wizard of Oz?
I have.
Have you really? Is that a movie you've actually seen, Tommy?
Yeah,
Tommy has to reaffirm that he has seen The Wizard of Oz, in fact.
Well, he hasn't seen a lot of movies. Like, he hasn't seen Princess Bride.
Blade Runner.
Yeah.
List of things. The Wizard of Oz is right underneath the Studio Ghibli movies.
Yeah.
Sarah, so for healing, what is your character opinion when it comes to using Infernal Healing? It's a evil spell for one of the descriptive. So, what your character?
I don't know. Does it say infernal?
Yeah, I mean, Sarah makes her own decisions here, but I
am just asking what is her character opinion on this?
Right now my alignment, like, out of character, my alignment is true neutral for now. That might change as time goes on, so...
I am just thinking ways how to pass out Fastio 1 for people who can use it.
Pass out what?
Fastio.
Oh, fast heal. Okay.
Yeah.
Give me a minute. I'm gonna look up specifics about the spell and decide how my character feels about it.
I mean, it's called Infernal Healing.
I know.
It is... was written, a good character can use a evil spell and not be evil. It just would change their alignment a bit if they use it too much. So I'm just
I mean,
thinking.
she's not using it. You're casting it. She has her own like cure spells.
It's on the Oracle's list as well, so she can use it if I give her a scroll version of it.
I still think the cure spells are better.
Yeah, she can also channel. You also have people who are here to heal you.
Yep.
Yeah, we have medics.
Guy who has shit regen.
Yeah, we have medics. I think that I would think that you're the main arcane caster.
Focus on being an arcane cast.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Clerics can heal.
I need better armor.
Okay, so does everyone have healing potions?
I got regen and water.
So
And I'm an alchemist. I'm the one who makes damn potions.
True. So can you have a body of water on you the entire time?
I think I'm fine.
There you go. You need one of those like
Like a reverse wetsuit.
no, and that one of those endless water.
A decanter of endless
Like
water and just shoot yourself in
yeah.
the head with it.
From Dune, like one of those the water capture suit from Dune. You know what I'm saying?
There you go.
Now you just what you do is you get a portable hole and you fill that portable hole up with water.
And then I just sit in the portable hole and attack people out of it.
Yeah.
Like a big old turret. It's a big old melee turret in the middle of the battlefield. They just threw a portable hole in the middle of this field.
Splash.
Oh my god, there's a troll in it. And he's very wet.
I mean, you could get a decanter of endless water. It's 9,000 gold.
He has to be fully immersed for the fast healing to take place, or the regeneration rather.
Well, what about the geyser effect in a decanter of endless water?
Oh yeah, that's a thing.
You could just hose himself.
I'm dying. Just have a guy following me with a decanter and just spray me down like it's fucking Arkansas in the 60s.
Yeah, produces a 20-foot long, 1-foot wide stream of 30 gallons per round.
Yeah, I think you can fill a hole up with water pretty soon.
I'm getting rid of my ring of protection and shit. And I'm taking that because that's crazy. Oh my god.
I'll just link it right there.
Oh my lord!
We're gonna designate one soldier who's gonna follow me around and just like in combat spray me down with like
No, just get a bathtub.
Like a battle tub.
Yeah.
Battle
Like cast iron tub.
What am I?
Cast
That one
iron
guy
tub?
from the French Revolution who got murdered in his bathtub?
Yeah.
Because he was like super creepy and disgusting.
Oh, I remember that.
Wheels
Painted
on
by
it.
David.
We'll push you through the battlefield in your war tub.
Big old crippled troll in his battle tub.
Okay, I'd do it.
Pulled
Bring
by
me
llamas.
along!
Pulled by camels, right? Ostriches.
I want your opinion on one of the spells I think might be of use when we get in a city 101-ish terrain. Maybe having haste would be quite useful there.
I mean, yeah, haste is definitely a spell.
Yes. Haste is a thing.
I know there's haste communal, which would be used on units, but that's like a 4th or 5th level spell for that.
I'm pretty sure haste already targets more than one person, though.
Really? What about a unit for haste?
You would target the
it
troops
targets
individually.
everyone like per level in a 30-foot radius haste.
Okay, so I should save that as its last per minute.
I think it's split between everyone you touch.
One creature per level, no two of which can be more than 30 feet apart. The range is 25 plus 5 for every 2 levels.
Oh, okay. I'm thinking of something else then.
Can you then move outside of that 30 feet?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's not like an aura or something.
So you could be like, all right, everybody go.
So just mechanically speaking, what like kind of level are these soldiers? They're just like one hit die warriors?
More or less, but there's a lot of them.
Okay. I'm just curious because I want to know comparatively if I unleash like 10 dire badgers into this city.
How far they'll go.
Yeah.
It's things will be stronger or weaker as you go. Like you can just like looking up and down, you can see like your cavalry is probably the most like actually combat trained. Most of your infantry is just kind of like, with the exception of a few like humanoids with class levels essentially to serve as lieutenants. Most of them are just like conscripts that have been given like a little bit of leather armor and a spear and a shield.
Oh, good lord. None of my family's in there, are they?
Yeah, no. You said you want them to plant crops and stuff, and so they will.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking, if I'm being surrounded by troops and I use a direct line attack, such as lightning bolt, would that affect the troops around me?
Yes.
Well, if you
that will
have
affect
them
the
get
things
out
in
of the way,
line, yeah.
Okay, so I could command them to move so I can make a direct line attack.
yes.
That is true.
Just remember to do that.
Yeah, please.
Cool.
Because people don't like you as it is.
Yeah, right?
True.
Oops.
Yeah, friendly fire is not going to win you any friends.
Nope. Well, if you guys don't have any other questions or any other... Musafa did say if there's anybody else like in the camp you want to grab and bring with you, you can do so. Otherwise, if you guys are ready to go...
Well, you saw what I wrote.
As long as we can drag people out into a field, I can play Mary Hob with a big crowd of people.
Sure. And you saw what I wrote in the
About
chat.
Nira, I think
About-
I did.
Yeah.
So I'm curious, so what is everyone AC currently at the moment?
13. Without all of my buffs. And with all my buffs, it becomes a 21. So...
When I have
19.
my armor would be AC would be 20 using using light armor. It's a minor chance that I may not be able to cast a spell, like 10% only.
What armor are you wearing?
Oh, I am wearing a suit of armor from Adventure Armory 2 called the Spider Silk bodysuit.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And I-
Your weird,
Yeah,
like, drow xenomorph suit.
It's a
Sexy
way.
Xenomorph comes to cast spells on you.
Yeah.
The suit of armor pretty much weighs the previous armor I was wearing already, and it's a minor penalty towards saying that we related to towards strength and dex, but it shouldn't be much of a penalty once I get it enchanted. And
Does it
then
have a
I-
penalty to your like arcane spellcasting failure?
10%.
Yeah, 10. It's minor.
Okay.
But it's
But I would like to still
Yeah,
know
okay.
that exists, so I remember to call for percentage dice when you're casting.
Yep, I will remember to do that on my side.
Okay.
Is there a enchantment I could put on my armor to reduce that chance
Yeah,
to zero, pretty much?
It's I forget what it's called. What's it called, Tommy?
I'm not
I had
sure.
it on Yosef.
Magi get it.
It's
Arcane
I think
armor training?
Yeah, well, no, arcane armor. That's it.
That's a feat.
Yeah, that's a feat, but I'm pretty sure there's.
I know
Well,
enchantments.
you do
The
training.
thing is, the thing is, I don't want to use my feats for armor proficiency and then just a feat for that. Just like an enchantment would work.
Well, put training on your armor and give it. Is that just a weapon enchantment?
I think so, yeah. Yeah, it is.
Just wield a dagger constantly with the training enchantment to give you.
To give you arcane armor training.
Yeah.
It's not a bad idea.
True.
You need to meet all the prereqs. And I'm not sure what they are off the top of my head, but you can figure that out on your own throughout the week.
Yep.
Do the
true.
horses have barding?
They do.
Okay.
It's just light armor proficiency and caster level of 3rd. Clerics can do it.
Does Lucia have light armor proficiency?
I can wear it.
Do you have the
but
proficiency
Wear
though?
it. Not proficient with it.
Okay.
No, I would be at a penalty using it pretty much, not being proficient.
Okay, sure.
Are you taking that penalty now?
Yep, it just towards attack,
Yeah, it's
attacks pretty much anything when it comes to movement. It's just a minor penalty. It's only
Right.
-1 and that's it. So not much of a hindrance.
Yeah. Fair enough.
All right.
Well, again, if you guys are ready to go, Mustafa is like, well, we probably at this point, as you guys are talking, a portal has been opened, and you guys can see, like I said, arid grasslands on the other side.
Just better armor. That's all I want.
Okay.
I bought the geyser.
Okay.
I'll figure it out in between sessions. I'll
Gotcha.
just
Yeah.
Okay.
hope we don't get screwed by something that I really need it right away.
Yeah.
I'll save the 10,000 for bail money.
Yeah. There you go.
Do all of us have a cloak of resistance +1?
No.
Mm-hmm.
No. How would we have gotten that?
I do not.
Buying it?
Oh,
Well, he
you
said he was
mean
going to
just
buy
now?
throughout the week.
Yeah, I am. The three basic items I have for my characters: cloak of resistance, amulet of natural armor,
And a ring of
and
protection.
wing of protection. My three must key items I have for any character.
That's everybody's.
Yeah.
That's 3 of the big 6.
They're the 3
Yeah.
cheapest ways to improve your saves and armor.
Mm.
I'll remember that. Cloak of protection, or ring of protection,
Cloak of resistance, amulet of
Where's
natural
it?
armor.
amulet of natural armor.
Yep.
Got it.
Alrighty, so if
All
you
right.
guys are ready to go, if there's like, you guys know that you're not going to be back on this demiplane for a while. So, if there's any like final actions you need to do before you go out on active duty, now is the time.
And really, will just say goodbye to his parents
Okay.
Yeah.
and
Same.
his extended family.
Yeah. Everybody's extended family gives you like warm hugs and well wishes that you don't get arrows in the chest and die, essentially.
I don't know. I
Right.
wish I had something to give Deneb.
I mean, you have 10,000 gold.
That's true.
Here you go, kid. Have fun.
Yeah, don't spend it all in one place.
No. Give it to the kid. All 10,000 gold, and see what chaos he can cause.
And
with that
see what the
gold.
GM does with that.
Oh, Jesus.
So let me, as we go through, I'm going to make a quick dummy board here for what I want from you guys. And it doesn't have to stay this way forever and ever and ever and ever, but I would like a basic like marching order. Let me put something together real quick here.
Are we gonna have scouts in this marching order, or are we just gonna rely on the scouts that were given to us?
That's entirely on you guys. That's what
I would think Pogue would be kind of with the scouts, or
So I'm going to drop
I mean,
everybody's token in.
I would probably be in the middle or in the back a bit.
north
Where's the
being
front?
up.
Hang on.
Is that your?
Let me start with the PCs. So many
I
people
don't
are
know
going.
why I still have Francis Root's name under his.
No,
What am
probably
I
because it's
missing?
typed into his token.
Zandu is here too.
Oh well, I so is mine.
Oh, I put those
think
in
it's because
myself.
I still
Oh.
have control over his.
Okay. So then.
I'll
Back
stay in the middle for now. I can't wild shape yet. I need one more
That's
level.
let me.
I still have his name under his thing because I can still control his character sheet.
So who is up
Oh.
front and who is in the rear?
Enderling, are you meant to be way up on top, at the top?
Yeah. Yep. That's I am in control of my faculties, so yeah, I put him up there.
Oh, okay. Well, if you're in control of your icon too, I just want to make sure. Because I was not.
Who am I
Oh,
missing?
geez. You're way up there.
He wants to be first.
I was wondering where his big hook nose went.
If you want to be the scout, you can. I will be at the front of the infantry.
So Pogue is content to ride sort of at the head of the infantry and let the scouts kind of go off, so that he's not necessarily off on his own unless it warrants it in a particular
Okay.
event.
I suppose I'm on a horse.
So you guys have the board there. If you could just like, I'd like you guys to set up your like the infantry formations and stuff too. There's only one token. If you want me to make more, if you want to split them off real like
Where are
big
the
and crazy,
infantry?
they are. Oh, I didn't mark their name as infantry. They're the ones that aren't
Yeah.
marked. There you go. And then
So
Mercutio has his wagon with him.
Which one of these units is the infantry unit?
The one that says infantry on it.
You know.
I would probably be with the infantry unit.
Rotate. Get out of my infantry unit. Off.
I put the scouts at the top, but as they're kind of going to go out and in, and
Mhm.
not out and in like the way Pogue does, but you know, like
Yeah, no, I
scouts
understand.
do.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
I think the baggage train should probably be pretty far back, you know?
Mhm.
Like, we
That's
don't
fair.
want a Battle of Angacourt here with people stealing our stuff out of our...
Right.
We don't want the English to come around behind us and steal all of our stuff.
Zandu is going to be with the baggage train for now.
That sounds good.
If somebody
So-
wants to
Yeah,
play
he's
him in
just
combat,
baggage right now.
Is there any other infantry unit, or is they just one on the board there?
you guys have 500. If you were to set up the formation like it is now, you would assume just
They'd be, like,
500
huge.
people I grabbed underling. Yeah, thank you, Joe. About like that. If you want me to move more around, or if you want to split them up and stuff, we can do so.
I thought that would make a rectangle, but instead it made a line.
Why
I was like, oh shit, okay, whatever, yeah.
So I guess what I'll do is I'll do this.
Oh, they got fat.
But the name doesn't get any bigger. The name stays teeny tiny.
Infantry. Just to know.
That's unfortunate. Why can't I delete that line? I am the GM. Let me delete that line.
What
Oh.
level do you have it
You
on?
deleted everything.
I did.
What
I got it. I'm doing it.
Got it. There we go.
There we are.
Why would you think that would make a rectangle?
Okay, I'm gonna hang on.
Because it said regular, and I thought, oh, that's regular.
A regular rectangle, right, guys? Yeah.
The fucking everything's rectangular. Damn it! Draw shape. There. See, they'd make that. You know.
There we go. We got it. So mechanically speaking, you guys have like 500 infantry. You have about 200 of the scouts and about 200 cavalry, and there's a back in the back. These guys are probably going to default to the baggage train, the priests of Delanidra, of which you have about 100.
Okay. Can I get one extra cavalry token?
Yeah, everybody should have control of it.
It's right there. It's below you.
Yeah, it's
No,
literally...
can I get one extra cavalry token?
Oh, yeah,
I don't
yeah,
have
yeah.
control of it.
Oh, you're gonna make a marching line. You're gonna make a. I know what you're doing. You gotta put one like right here, and then like one right here.
Yeah.
Okay.
So who is going where exactly? I want to be in the middle. So who can I be partnered up with besides for infantry, so I can use my spells properly?
Well, right now we're marching. This is a marching order, not a.
Yeah, this is like when
Oh,
you guys do have, like when the Imperials find you and like mass combat starts, I need to know how you guys are arranged so I can set it up and like tactic stuff. We
Well,
probably
hopefully-
won't make that get
hopefully-
very crunchy though, because A, I don't really like Pathfinder's rules for it, and B, it takes you guys out of the equation. It's just
Right.
kind of for my own sake.
So my hope is that the scouts will be out and will be reporting Imperial positions, so that the only thing that we get is maybe an Imperial scouting party or something.
Okay.
And where are all the people
Which people?
that we're protecting?
The priests?
The pilgrims.
They are. You'd have to find them still. This is like, we'll get to that as we get there. This is just kind of like before we start finding them. I
Okay.
want to know how we're set up. So we've got the cavalry on the wings with Francis. The scouts are ahead. Should I take it that Enterling and Pogue are both like in the line, or are you trying to be out in front of them?
I'm kind of like at the front of the line with Enderling.
Okay. So Joe, are you trying to be like out in front of the like shield wall, or do you want to be?
Yeah.
Okay.
Shield wall. They don't fight in a shield wall, Tommy. Get out of here.
It's close enough.
We found a bunch of Norman soldiers out in the middle of the fucking desert.
Well, I said that there's people from all over the multiverse come out to fight.
Normans and Romans.
I just want to be in the front line, is what I'm signifying.
Okay, I understand.
A couple of dudes from 40k.
Yeah.
Tommy, I would have my familiar up above, flying around, giving me updates.
Sure.
When-
Marvin.
Marvin
I mean,
the
if
Raven.
this is Total War, all of the infantry would be gunslingers, and I'd have a huge amount of.
But we're not doing total.
Yeah,
I'm
no.
watching Tommy move the Raven onto the board, and it shows up really big, and I'm like, why is the Raven huge?
This is the
He's our
Raven.
battle Raven.
This is the Raven King. we are
Lucy
dealing
is
with.
familiar, took the Mauler archetype, and she's found ways to cheese it up to like huge or colossal.
If I
I'm
really
sure
wanted
there are
to,
ways.
I
Oh, there are
could.
ways.
If I really wanted to, I could resurrect a giant raven and use that as my flying mount.
Yeah.
Yeah, all right. Okay, so I've seen everybody move. I haven't seen Sarah move yet.
Oh, yeah. I was waiting.
Sarah wants to stand out by herself.
We're going to say each of these squares is like... No, I don't know. How
Why'd
much?
you move the cavalry? What are you doing?
She's trying to shore up the right flank.
I'm setting up a pike and shot formation.
50, 55, so that's 60 feet.
I'm trying to figure out why I can't move my thingy.
You can't move your token?
No.
It's probably because I haven't set it with... Yeah, okay, I see.
Hey.
My bad. That's what happens when you get a new image. Okay, you can move yourself.
Ooh. I probably want to be somewhere in the middle frontish area because I'm a melee unit, or not melee unit, but a melee fighter. But
You know.
I'm kind of squishy too, so.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so I see where you guys are set up. How much space do you guys want between, how far back do you want the supply train to be and the medical tents and stuff like that?
Well, they still need to be
I know I
protected,
want
right?
the priests up here.
They need to be close enough that we can run our wounded there if we have to.
Yeah, they need to be a bit in between. They need to be like the baggage train. There's no fighting possible there, but I know Enderling's given the express order to the infantry. Like, if you got a wounded brother, you stand beside him until you can get him to safety. You don't leave anyone behind.
Okay.
But we don't want to leave the baggage train so far back that they're not protected, right?
Yeah, you guys know Mercutio can defend himself, and there's a
Xandu's there.
there's a lot more going on there. But
Yeah.
if he were to be overwhelmed, you guys are cut off from your supplies, cut off from probably even cut off from Mustafa.
Yeah, but if they're sending an army to attack a baggage train, it's gonna end like Agincourt. They're just gonna get overwhelmed by the. Well, no, actually, Agincourt, they took over the baggage train. It's gonna end up that they're sending a unit that's very small to attack our supply train just to piss us off.
Mm.
Really, you don't want to ignore the primary army and attack the baggage train.
I keep thinking you're saying baggage claim.
Attack the baggage claim. Just go into KCI airport.
Just stand there as the bags are rotating around and just smack them.
For the Empire!
As you just
For
I've
the
got
horde.
souvenirs in there, man.
These Imperial Legion guards are attacking my ship.
My
Now-
skull globes!
Now,
No.
Now it is time to bring out the miniature 40k Warhammer mini, then put them on the map.
Nope.
Yeah. Now we won't ever. I've never played 40k. I don't know. I wouldn't
I've
mind
watched
playing
it play.
Warhammer.
It looks fun as shit.
Yeah,
Just a lot of D6s.
a lot of d6s. So again, how far back in terms of like, you don't have to give me an exact 5-foot increment, but in terms of at least
5 feet.
rounded to the nearest 100, if you would, how far back the baggage train is, how far back your medics are going to be.
100 yards.
100 yards? Well, I
So
don't know what that
300
is in
feet.
feet. Thank you, Joe. Okay. I will make note of that.
That sound reasonable?
Works for me. Okay. And then what about the baggage train? You want the baggage train with the medics? You want it farther back?
Oh,
You
the
want it-
medics are... No, I want the medics closer. I want the medics, like, in between the baggage train.
Yeah.
That's like 100, like 50, like 150 yards. No, that doesn't make sense.
50 yards to the
50 yards,
medics.
yeah, and then 100 yards back, yeah.
Right, so another 50
Yeah, you
to
know
the
what I'm saying?
baggage train.
Like in between us and the baggage train, so they're not like undefended, but they're also like they're not gonna be like, oh, you have to run a mile before you get the arrow pulled out of your face.
Right, okay. Okay. Got it. So it looks like we're all pretty much set up. Okay. So you guys, you go through the portal and you end up, it kind of looks not unlike when you guys crossed the border into Kadira for the first time, kind of like that terrain. It's really quiet. Not a lot goes on. Maybe like, let the percentage dice decide how your last hour turns out.
Oh, really well.
An 86. Okay.
That's a D10, Tommy.
I mean, it's 2d10s.
86.
Yeah.
Oh.
Okay.
Could have
So,
just rolled a 1d100.
meh. I don't think there's an easy button for 1d100, is there?
Yeah, there is.
No, I see
You
4,
just
6, 8. I could have
Make
typed
a
it.
macro. Just make a macro.
Damn it.
It's not
All right.
hard.
So,
Boom.
I'm going to say a couple hours in, your scouts return, and they inform you that northeast of your position, about 3 or 4 hours march, give or take, there's a bunch of stuff going on. There's a bunch of fighting. It seems like a lot of both Imperial and Revolutionary forces have gathered there. And pretty much everything else is like they've run into like a random odd pilgrim and sent them on their way. Or actually, better yet, there's probably... I'm going to roll 2d10 again. I'm going to hit like 99. Okay, yeah, sure. Somewhere around like 40. Either people who are too frail to fight, too old to fight, or like conscientious objectors, essentially, or people's family that don't want to participate in the fighting, have come with them looking at you guys. A lot of them are like overjoyed to see you. They make their way past the infantry towards like where your medical line is, and the priests begin seeing to them. But yeah, your scouts inform you that a few hours northeast of you, something's going on. They're not sure what. They didn't get too close because they didn't want to risk being discovered. And there is a pretty good sized Imperial force there.
What about my bird?
Make a perception check.
What, is your bird a conscientious objector?
Well, he hasn't used it for combat yet. Make a perception check for your familiar.
Per perception you said, not percentile.
Yeah. Okay.
21.
You don't see that far ahead. It's pretty quiet. It's like, it's almost kind of like uncharacteristically quiet, especially considering how close you are to the border with Taldor. You imagine like you're probably about a day's march. If like you guys just turn north and march in a day, you could cross the border into Taldor, and thus you imagine You probably even pass a couple of like border forts that have been abandoned, and they're all in like horrible disrepair from the fighting. You see little like, at best, little farming communities, more likely just little farmsteads, and they've all been abandoned. You definitely see the scouts return before anybody else does.
So we don't know who's winning.
Yeah, you don't.
I'm talking to the scouts now.
You do not. The scouts report that it looks like it's a fairly even match, but again, you guys are right on top of the Imperial border.
So these guys. So the battle's at the border.
It's on the way there. Like, again, it would take
Okay.
about a day to get there. It's about 3 hours north of you.
Okay. Huh.
So, what do we do?
Can my wait? So I can actually do something. I'm actually going to be using clairvoyance to actually examine the area.
Okay, sure. Let me bring up that spell so I can see exactly how it works. This is why we need Xandu, because Xandu can do that stuff without fail. Clairaudience, clairvoyance. Okay, so the range is 400 feet plus 40 feet per level. You are level 5. There's no way you can send it.
Level 5. So if we get close, could I give more accurate information if we get closer?
Yes, but you can also, by the time you're going to get there, you're probably going to at least see something. You can certainly send it 400 plus 40 times 5 feet in front of the army. There's nothing saying you can't, but it's only going to go that far forward.
Okay, so well then probably save that then.
Mm-hmm.
Aaron is a big supporter of the violence of action. So I think we should just charge them and scare the piss out of them.
Anybody else got
Okay.
any bright ideas?
Seems to me that if it's an even battle, then we can either go in and tilt the scales, but on the other hand, if we show up and they're losing, then maybe we were better off going around. But you said that there are friends and family and stuff that are with the rebels there, right?
Yeah.
So those are the people we're supposed to protect anyway.
Yes and no. It's again, you guys have more or less free reign, but like that's just kind of the basic. Like, here's something you can do that will help everyone. Go here, but you guys could you have 1,000 troops. You can do with them as you will.
Violence. Get them. Scare them.
Eat him.
We
Show them
should
our war face.
we should help those people out.
Well, duh, says the lawful evil person.
Yeah, somebody else is turning lane.
Well,
we should help them, all right?
My character have a conscience. This is lawful. It is not lawful dumb that I'm selfish. It is selfish for my own personal gain, and I want to make sure those people don't die. If they do die, then it is their fault and circumstance was against them. But we can actually help them. There's a difference between choosing not to help and cannot help.
Yeah.
Charge them. Get them. Scare them. They'll never expect it.
Is there already like a force there fighting them?
Yeah. Like, again, the scouts report you guys are pretty, well, not you guys, but rebel forces and imperial forces are about evenly matched, but again, you guys aren't far from the border. And it's also like there's something like the scouts also report that how do I want to word this? They report there's no reason the rebels should be fighting that close to the border because it'd be stupid, right? Because in a day's march, here comes all these reinforcements. but they don't seem to be backing off or backing down.
Well, something important here, clearly.
There must be a reason.
Send the scouts ahead. Figure out why they're fighting.
With my character knowledge, could I make out any possible idea why the Taldor would be this close to the border?
Well, Taldor is this close to the border because one of its satrapies essentially has declared its independence, and they would like it back.
They would like, in the best circumstance.
We would like our satrapy that's sitting on what is essentially Pathfinder's Silk Road and like all the riches of the world back, if at all possible. They're all turning Canadian.
Hey, that's how we got our independence.
But yeah, you can make some kind of knowledge check, Donald. I don't think you actually met
All those
Taldor.
beavers back, Canada, please.
So let's see, knowledge.
Father,
History,
we
I
would very
guess?
much like to move out on our own.
Yeah, go for it, Donald.
Can you guys please stop selling all of your rum to the Africans? We'd really love that to happen. Well, no, I think we're going to have a bunch of rich people declare their independence.
What kind of knowledge
25,
check is this?
25.
Yeah, I see the number, but what check is it?
History.
Knowledge history. There's a lot of like zealous forces in within the rebellion. That's the cult of the Dawnflower has basically got together with what's left of the Eagle Knights and put it together. So like the possibility exists that these are just like what am I trying to say? Just like angry, zealous clerics that are not necessarily like on a suicide mission, but like, you know what I mean, is that kind of thing. Like they're just going to rush the border because their god is with them. But you don't think that's the case. The history of the rebellion is a little difficult because it's only been going on for a couple weeks and you guys have been demi-plane hopping. But like, people aren't stupid and they know they're, if not outnumbered, they're at least outgunned. And so you imagine if there's something going on there, if these guys are not leaving the border, they're doing it for a good reason.
Okay.
I would pass on my concerns to Paul about this.
So I think. So what's the concern then? We have people that are on our side that should be over the border by now, but instead they're staying and fighting. So if they're staying and fighting, then doesn't that mean that they are stuck for one reason or another, and we need to go and help them?
There must
yeah.
be a reason they're holding their ground.
Well, but they're probably holding their ground and fighting. They probably were trying to cross the border if they could. But we should help them anyways. Maybe
Well, they could always retreat across the border. But they're not.
I agree with, I think it was Enderling that suggested we send the scouts ahead again.
Okay.
Fewer this time. It'd be best not to risk us being spotted by enemy forces. If we had planned to intervene, we want to intervene as quickly and decisively as possible.
All right, so why don't we march, at march pace towards the, I don't know what the right term is, like not to exhaust the forces, but with some kind of, haste, but not
a forced
hasty?
March, but like
Right.
you're not setting up. Yeah, I gotcha.
Something like that.
Mm.
This is Pogues trying to think, and so he's like, so you guys do that. How fast can my wasp out of game? How far can the wasp travel?
The wasp travels. Let me see. I imagine the fly speed is at least 60.
No, how far?
How far? As far as you want it to.
Okay, so Pogue makes up his mind, looks at Enderling, and says, "I'll go with the scouts.
Good.
Figure out what's going on, and I'll send back the wasp to tell you. But if if they're in trouble, I won't be able to do very much, other than sneak out of there quickly.
If you're in trouble, no matter what, I think you should charge it.
So, all right.
Okay,
So
so
that's-
I'm hearing Pogue goes with the scouts. Everybody else, are we marching the army north, or are we waiting?
Yeah, I would think we should come around the flank.
Okay.
Yeah.
That would be better. Getting them pincered in.
Surprise is our best effect.
Never attack your enemy head on unless you have to.
All right.
Well, you never back away from combat.
You never back away from combat.
Is that a threat? Ooh.
Ooh.
All right. So Pogue and the scouts take off. Let's have Pogue make a perception check.
Oh, Jesus.
I'll put it on the board where everybody can see.
Why is Pogue making a perception check instead of the most perceptive of the group in the scouts? All right, hold on.
Because Pogue's the PC.
Poe, you are the commandant of the army.
I am not. I am a scout. Okay.
How'd we do?
24.
Got a 24. Okay, so you get about a couple hours away from the army, and you begin to hear what sounds almost like well, you're from Casimir. You've probably seen an elephant before at some point. It sounds like something about as big as an elephant is moving your way, but it's moving really fast. Around this time, all the scouts, they don their veils, and some of them draw their spears like javelin style, like they're gonna throw them, and some of them.
What's the setting?
The setting?
Yeah. What's the
Like the terrain?
Yeah.
Arid grassland.
Tall enough to hide.
For you, probably.
But if the others drop, then
yeah, you get the feeling they probably can. You're gonna be better at it for your size, but
well, sure. So, but it sounds like something's coming our way.
something
Like a
really
whole-
big.
One of them or a whole bunch of them?
It sounds like an elephant, but it's moving really fast.
So Pogue signals to everybody, shh, and then signals to get down in the grass and hide. What time of day is it?
Middle of the afternoon.
Okay.
All right, so they'll go ahead and make their stealth check.
Oh Jesus!
It's not that just click a d20. I know what they add, but let's get yours too.
Yeah, I was gonna say I need to do that.
Got a 30. Okay. I can't find the token. Where is the token? I've had this token for a lot of sessions and I misplaced it. There we go. Okay, so I'll stretch it out once it hits the board. If it'll hit the board. Watch me at the very end lose my internet connection. There we go. Okay. So it's about this big.
Doesn't look like an elephant.
It looks more like a
It's a
tiger.
naked mole rat.
It looks more like a tiger, but its skin is covered
Hairless.
with sort of like a think like an armadillo. It's very chitinous. It begins like it's heading vaguely in your direction. It gets like it looks like it's gonna pass you guys by, but then it lifts its head up and it starts sniffing the air. It turns and heads your way.
Folks looks at the scout lady who lifted his sword. I assume she's sort of the leader of their.
More or less, yeah.
Yeah, they're it's kiting us. He says, "What the hell is that?"
They'll make a knowledge check. I don't know what they add. They'll roll. They have no idea. They don't say a word. None of them at all say a word, and they just like the ones that look like they're gonna go javelin lean back like they're gonna throw, and the ones that have bows, like everybody just starts aiming at this thing, but they're looking at you.
What do I think it is? Thank you.
I'm trying to think if you'd seen this in the prison. You know, Actually, well, there's a DC for that. Hang on. Let me look it up real quick.
10 plus the creature's CR.
Right, but I don't know what the creature's CR is.
Oh.
Okay. Oh, okay. So it's
Hopefully it's not 12.
it's actually 13.
No shit.
So you know that in the very far north, not quite where Enderling is from, but like from what you've heard from Francis, a little more out towards like Ustalov, but farther north from that, as well as where the orcs live, you know megafauna are raised for pretty much whatever you need up to and including war. You're not sure what it is, but you're sure that it's like, think like them like saber-toothed tiger on steroids with more like natural armor.
And he's kiting you.
He's kiting us?
He's not kiting you. He would have to cast some kind of dot first and then make you chase him.
All right. So he sniffed the air and he's got our scent.
Yeah.
So I say, I look at her and say, "Do you think we can take him?"
They nod.
And there's nobody with it. There's no armor on it. There's no.
It's not wearing any armor.
Or whatchamacallit, King's banners or.
It is not. It's the thing is about 25 feet from nose to tail. You imagine it's about the same at the shoulder, give or take. So if there's somebody riding him, you're not going to know until they're like right on top of you.
Oh, okay. And so I look at her again and go, and he's not one of ours then.
You get the feeling
I mean, if they don't know what it is, right?
they have no idea what it is. You know it's not native to Qadira for sure.
Okay. You said they're armed with bows and spears?
Yeah. Short spears, javelins, they all have bucklers. But they're like, you get the feeling it's light skirmish troops. They probably have like daggers and stuff like that too.
Okay. Long bows, short bows?
Short bows.
Okay.
It continues to move closer.
How fast is this thing moving?
A brisk trot. It's not like charging at you. And you also, you know, like if it was hungry and it has scented you, it's not necessarily going to just come like barreling at you because I mean, it's still a cat.
Right. All right. So I tell them to spread out and be ready to fire.
Okay. They will do so. It gets about here. It gets almost right on top of you. And
well, not that. I don't let it get that close.
Okay. So do you try to move away from it?
No, I tried to. I thought it was further out. So it's literally like.
It will be right on top of where you are in perhaps like 30 seconds.
All right. So I stand up, and I hold out my hand, and I say, "Halt!"
All right, make a check.
And I try it in common, and I try it in Scald.
Okay, sure. Makes
Kind of
sense.
check.
Do you have handle animal?
Huh?
Do you have handle
Do I have
animal?
handle animal? I do.
All right, make it.
I think. I'm a bard. I have everything, right?
Yeah,
Come on, baby.
Okay, it doesn't seem to respond, but it definitely sees you, and it begins like moving a lot faster, coming at you.
Is there anybody on the back?
You can't tell.
All right, so I'm yelling like if there's anybody on the back. If there's anybody up there, stop your cat.
No response.
No response. All right.
All of the scouts are looking at you like they're basically just
Like,
waiting for the command.
Now,
Yeah.
bring him down.
Mm.
So
It gets now. We're gonna say it is like as you see it on the board. It is 5 feet away from you.
right. So I tell him now, bring it down.
Okay. So it's around this time that Augrus does fall off the tiger's back.
Oh Jesus!
He is He's pierced through with arrows. He's bleeding from a million different spots. He's breathing, but barely. And this
So I'm
this is around
wait,
the time
wait.
that the arrows do fire.
I'm like, wait.
Let me dig out the. I think it's.
Of course, you wait until. Fuck.
Let me see exactly how much damage these guys do. I have to. Beneficiary of this. Oh, here we go. Okay, we're using that, so I automatically hit, and I do that much damage. I'll roll it, so you guys can get a vague, idea of how much damage you do.
That's it.
Yeah, well, I mean, I rolled kind of bad.
Okay.
Let's see. I don't have any means of stopping that. Okay. So, arrows pierce this thing's hide. Javelins pierce it. It roars out. Especially for you, because it's right on top of you, just deafeningly, throws its head back and roars. You know Ogru's. You know,
Yeah.
And he is, bloodied axe clenched in one of his hands, lying at your feet. If
Is he
He's alive, but just barely.
So I look at the beast. I'm like, everybody stop! Just as loud as I can. And as I'm doing it, I'm trying to get the because the beast is intelligent, right?
That would require some kind of check.
Probably
knowledge nature.
Well, what do I know about his? It's his friend, right? Because he talked about his friend trying to find his friend before.
Yeah.
So
make a knowledge nature check.
Okay. Come on, where are you? Give me some love here.
That's good enough. You know, people that bond with the wild, when they do so, they will oftentimes take on they'll take on animal companions and the like to help them on their way and bring them closer to nature. And as a part of this, as a part of the bond, the animal gets a little bit of something as well. They'll grow bigger, they'll grow stronger. As far as intelligence goes, it might be a little smarter than the average angry cat, but the average druid doesn't have the animal companion tree doesn't grant an intelligence bonus.
Right. Okay. So I'm mumbling, should have brought the druid, and I yell at my companions. I'm like, cease fire. Just stay away from them. Just scatter.
They do so.
And at the same time, so I assume he's at my feet, right?
Yeah. While this is happening, this thing is going to dig into your scouts a little bit.
Okay, so as he does that, and I'm looking at him, I hold up my hand towards him, and I cure light wounds on.
Okay.
What's his name? Augur.
There you go. There should be an accent on the U, but I don't feel like typing it out.
Augurs.
So around the time that this thing, you definitely see some of your scouts go flying in pieces. It nat one's one of them, so it'll miss the second attack. But this is around the time Augrus comes to, and as he does so, he his hand that's not holding his axe flies for your throat.
Okay, and I'm like, friend.
Panting, he gets up. He sees what's going on, and he goes up and he holds his hand and just I'm seeing Chris Pratt in the Velociraptors now, but it is that idea. And the beast calms down. Augrus begins moving through the people that he can't res anybody. Well, yeah, he can. That's on his spell list. The people that have been there's only a couple of them have been outright just ripped in half and killed. He begins bringing them back. It takes about a minute, and those that are wounded, he'll see to them as well.
Okay.
He looks combination of apologetic that this happened, but at the same time, it's kind of a poke the bull, or in this case, angry tiger monster kind of thing.
Right. So I'm like, hey, I'm sorry about your friend. Didn't know it was you.
He nods.
So what's going on up there? Reinforcements are behind us.
Okay, Augrus, I don't remember what Augrus sound is. Augurs tells you that there's been a Chelish prince has crossed the border into Qadira, and the rebellion, the rebels had captured him. Imperial forces weren't far behind him, and they haven't taken over, or they've taken the prince back, but that's basically what's going on right now. Is there's a Chelish prince has crossed the border, and they're trying to figure out how to get him out, but they can't just take off with him because then they turn their back to the Taldor phalanx that has moved in to recapture this prince. I didn't cut out, did I?
No, you're there.
Okay. But yeah, that's the idea.
So we captured their prince?
Rebel forces, there's a Chelish prince had crossed the border into Qadira, and he's been captured by rebel forces, and in the process of extricating him back to more friendly territory, Imperial forces showed up. There's an old Taldor fort that's built where they're holding up, essentially. It's pretty much just it's a horrible cluster at the moment. They don't know exactly where the prince is. They know he's out there somewhere. They're just trying to get him, get everybody together, form an organized retreat. But they can't because they turn their back to the Imperial forces and they get wiped out.
Okay, so if I get it'd be easier with a map, but so out of game for a second, because I was assuming that Pogue would kind of know this, in the big general swath of things. Our forces are up more towards the north. The Imperial forces are between. The rebel forces are up towards the north, towards the border, right?
Yeah, here I'll go down where the baggage train is, and I'll make you a
and then the Imperial forces, and then us.
Yeah,
and then
so we'll say Mercutio represents. If you see me moving them on the board, that's where you guys are.
Yep.
We'll use the generic. If I can find, it's probably way down here because that was one of the first tokens I made. This represents. You'll recognize that token. Represents Imperial Qadiran forces, and and this represents generic rebels. These guys are about here. You guys are there, and grab a quick pogue. You are perhaps there.
Okay.
Maybe more there.
Okay. And then the border would be up here?
More right about here.
Okay, but north. So the forces are between, and then somewhere around the forces are in this area.
Is a Chelish prince.
Is a prince holed up somewhere?
Yeah. You're not sure. Augurs isn't sure at the moment if the rebels have him or if the Imperial forces have got him back, because the whole thing has just descended into chaos, essentially.
Okay.
They had him for a while, though.
So who leads... Pogue asked him, who leads the rebel forces?
Who leads the rebel forces? I don't know. I'm going to grab a random token. We'll say... we'll say her. He'll tell you that the woman that you met with him in the prison. Boom, right
and
there.
Is she... And I asked, is she a capable leader?
He nods.
Okay, so... can they hold until reinforcements arrive?
He asks you if you are reinforcements.
I'm just the very beginning of them.
Okay, he
We're
nods.
the scouts.
He nods.
Okay. So I'll send a message back to Enderling. You remember him.
He nods again.
And the 1,000 men he has with him to come up and attack.
Okay.
In the meantime, do you have anybody that can find the prince?
He looks around. It's probably around this time that now that you guys aren't trying to kill each other, the big old tiger comes up to Augurs and starts like grooming him and tries to like pin him down with one of its paws that's about as big as he is, and he kind of brushes it off, kind of lets the gigantic cat groom him, and he looks around at everything around him, and he suggests that if you wanted to try to go find the prince, we're as good as any, that kind of thing.
Okay. So I say, if you can be quiet, my people can be quiet, and we can go look for the prince.
He nods.
So I send a message back to Enderling and say, hey, we're looking for a Chelish prince. Come help win the battle. If we find him, then we will start working our way towards the border.
Okay. So you do this, the wasp flies back. A couple hours later, you guys see Pogue's wasp return, and you guys see everything that happened since Augurs and his Warcat showed played out like episode 4 R2D2 and like help me Obi-Wan Kenobi, that thing. You see that played out mechanically. Van, you're the wasp now acts as though I can't think of the name of the spell. I have it written down. It acts as though as per the spell insect spies, which like you can look it up on your own mechanically. It's kind of like it sees everything and like it brings the information back to you.
Okay.
Instead of just being able to talk. You guys all see this. You guys all hear a Chelish prince has been captured, and that's why people are fighting at the border, and they ask for reinforcements, essentially.
We move out as soon as possible.
I have a suggestion.
Okay.
So, and I'm going to draw on the board, I suppose.
Okay.
Uh-oh.
It's going to happen. Prepare for it. So, the first half of the cavalry is going to come down like this and pepper the outer, like the flank with arrows.
Okay.
And they're going to come back around. And then the infantry will move forward through the middle. And the second half of the cavalry will support with lance and sword.
Mm-hmm.
And then the first bit of the cavalry will come again around the outer flank with lance and sword.
Okay.
So basically, we open up the flank with arrow fire and then just drill our way in.
They nod. They, like, the cavalry and the Lami. The Lami is the only facial expression you get. Everybody else, like I said, like that token, they have a mask covering their face. But they all solemnly nod. The horses. Some of the horses look a little more like than the average horse. Some of them look like some of them might have really off-colored eyes. Some of them might have like bright red manes or something like that. You get the feeling these guys have been doing what you're suggesting for like generations and generations and generations.
All right. Well, then, what the fuck do you need me for? I will ride in the middle of the second group.
Okay.
And when they wait, hold on. How long does the Entangle spell last?
That's a good question. I truthfully have no idea. I want to say it's a round per level. I don't ever cast it. 1 minute per level, so you'll have it for 5 minutes.
And it's gonna. Well, yeah, okay. By the time we're charging in there, it'll last. So I'll go in the middle of the first round, the archers.
Mm.
And as we pass, I'll cast Entangle into the flank we're going to be hitting.
Okay. Sounds good to me. Donald, I see you just come back. Did you catch everything I said?
Yes, I had my mic muted the entire time.
Okay. Gotcha. Well, yeah, there's been a Chelish prince picked up on the border, and you guys are going to like rescue him.
So this conflict have gotten a new point. Chelish Prince. Chelish Prince.
Does he look like Clark Gable?
Well, you guys don't know that yet. You haven't got there. Just go grab an image of Clark Gable, make a token. So unless anybody has any other actions on this board, we'll go ahead and... Time will get wibbly-wobbly, but we can get there.
All right. Now, these cavalry have been doing this for generations and generations, but I don't think they've ever done it with a druid.
Make a knowledge check of some kind.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Probably make knowledge check.
Do these guys know a druid named Ru-
No, Joe. Okay, so you're not from the desert, but you know that the desert, like, it's you wander off and get lost without water, you die, you freeze, you burn up, stuff like that. No one is like broadcasting real hard amongst the ranks of the cavalry that, like, I am a druid, look at me. But you imagine there's somebody there who has a basic grasp of it, because like these guys have been surviving in the desert forever and ever and ever and ever, and having a druid when doing that makes it that much easier.
Okay, yeah, it's like what I meant was they're like they have sages, right, or adepts.
I mean,
Sort
like
of.
Sand druids.
Yes.
That's a thing. That's a real thing. Desert druid.
it is, yeah.
They know where the spice is.
Some people are going to be
They
just
know
like,
warm side.
I am a warrior, I have a couple of feats, woohoo, look at me. But like the more important ones would have, like, druid levels would definitely make sense for sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
Why did you ask though?
Just like maybe they haven't seen third level magic before.
No, okay, fair enough, sure. Anyway, before we move the map forward, does anybody else have anything they want to do here? I don't want to like push any. I'm used to having 8 people in the party and having to call on everybody. But it's the same idea. No from Zara. No.
Nothing.
All right,
Nope.
cool.
I am ready to move on.
All right, so I'm going to move the board. Time is a little wibbly wobbly now that we're as split up as we are.
Don't tell Doctor Who.
Oh, I'll tell Doctor Who. All right,
Uh,
so the board is a little
Stop.
weird because I said you guys were coming from the north, but you're starting here. I'm going to use 1 token to represent everybody that is here now, and that token will probably be Pogue. As you guys get closer to what's marked as Fort Ligos, which is, that's a province in Taldor, Augru's, like, he slides off the back of his tiger, and, like, when you guys go to take off, he, like, goes to, like, scratch her leg, and she kind of, like a cat will sphinx, she does that kind of thing, and then Augru's climbs his way up.
Aww.
When you guys get there, he says something, and I imagine you don't speak Druidic, and, his
No.
tiger turns into, like, a little clay statue about the size of, like, your forearm, and he puts it in his pocket. You guys
where are we?
You are right there.
Oh, okay.
Top right corner.
Yep. No, I see me.
You arrive at the fort. Obviously, there's signs of, like, the thing has been assaulted several times in the last few days. There's probably bodies all over the place. There's nobody really important here. It's just kind of a, like, not a skeleton crew garrison, but, like, mechanically in terms of, like, what is there. It's that kind of thing. Just kind of like...
Skeleton crew of Imperial or...
No, it's yours. It's yours.
Okay.
It is rebel held. And I should have marked that by, like, changing the town names different colors. But you'd have to change that over the course of the thing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to...
Just put a...
little black square. But I don't want that square to be black. I want that square to be...
You can fill it in, too.
Oh, I can. Oh, sweet. Yeah, I can. We'll make it green. Green means you guys. That little green square there means that is held by rebel forces.
Green means go.
Yeah, pretty much. Go, because they're friends.
Got it.
Okay, so you arrive at the fort. People are happy to see Augru's return, and they're happy to see the, like, couple hundred nomads that have showed up with you. But no one
So is
really...
that how many scouts I have?
Yeah, I believe. Let me look at my notes that
Oh,
I made. Yeah, there are 200 of them.
Nice.
Plus Augru's, plus you. Everyone looks pretty wore down. There's plenty of people laying in tents wounded.
Okay.
So do we help the people heal us? what should we do?
You guys arrive a couple hours later.
So I'm there first.
I'm gonna let what I'll do, since we're kind of low on time, is I'm gonna let Van
Yeah.
decide what he wants to do, where he wants to go, that kind of thing. Then I'll bring everybody else in.
Pogue's just he's gonna run in, try and find out what he can about the prince, what they know, and then he's ready to take the scouts off.
Okay.
Um,
Let's see what people know. Let the percentage dice decide. Okay, yeah, that's not bad. They know. I'm gonna type his name down here before I say it out loud. I'm gonna misspell this. Prince Yumil of House LaCroix is the prince in question. He
I got and I say, what did you say?
he repeats
Kill
it.
him.
LaCroix?
Yep.
The water brand? The guys who make sparkling water?
As well as the wizard that's hanging out with you.
Right.
Oh my god, that just
Right.
dawned on me that that's a thing.
Prestidigitation of sparkling water. They don't know where he
Right.
is now, but they know they held him in the fort for a couple days before Imperial forces almost showed up out of nowhere trying to get this guy back.
And was this person cooperative?
Let's let the percentage dice decide again. I don't feel like making decisions, I guess. He was cooperative, but he has... they say that in the prince's retinue there are a couple of Ulfen Guard, and they were... you see there's plenty of people laying around that have, like, bruises on their, like, face and chest. About, like... almost as if they got hit with, like, a stop sign. About that big.
Okay.
They tell you that the prince was cooperative. The prince was not, like, eager to surrender, but he's not an idiot either. And, but it's his guard that you need to worry about. They say there's a Hell Knight traveling with him. They say, the Hell Knight didn't do anything but complain about how the lower class is, taking what they've been given by the Empire for granted. And basically the Ulfen Guard just don't talk unless somebody gets too close, and then they would, like, uppercut somebody and break their jaw and send them fly at, like, 20 feet.
So he has Elfin Guard too.
Yes. They describe a really like hulking man with like these strange tattoos running up and down his body.
Okay,
This
so
like
probably
kind of like a royal blue color, and they seem to like shift along with his mood.
Oh. So I look around and I realize that there's nobody there that really knows how Pogue feels about this.
Probably not. No, these guys are just here to like literally hold down the fort until.
Right. Not, yeah, but like the scouts and ogres, because he doesn't know like the enmity that Pogue has for the Chelish nobles, and
he might have a little bit of idea of like the enmity that you have for Lucia, but
seeing no sympathy in anybody's eyes, he shrugs his shoulders and is like, "Well, let's go get him."
All right, so they tell you they don't know what's going on across the rest of the map.
Okay.
So it's I guess if there's a particular place you want to go before a couple hours pass and the rest of the army rolls up, I will let you.
No, I mean, I was just gonna say we could see about getting. I ask ogres if we should get a head start or wait for the prince's sister.
He kind of goes a little wide at that probably. He tells you could get a head start if you wanted to. You guys are perfectly capable of being sneaky, and he tells you that he is as well.
Well, let's see what we can find then.
All right.
And we will leave a message.
All right, sure.
We'll try to we'll find him, but not confront him.
All right. So we'll put you like here.
Yeah.
Each one of those squares is an hour's travel, and we'll say real quick before we call it a night here, we'll bring what PC wants to represent the army. It probably ought to be Enterling. You guys arrive a couple hours later. You see everything I described at this fort. It's you guys showing up. You guys pretty much like you would be able to fill the battlements twice over. It's pretty much just a skeleton crew. No sign of Pogue, no sign of your scouts.
So, so do the people here recognize who I am as I come in?
They do not.
The message that I left says, Lucia, off to go find your brother.
Oh, nice to see my brother. He's alive.
Did I specifically say brother? I didn't, did I?
You said prince, so I would assume.
Okay.
I do not know how you. I
No,
would
that's-
assume he would be my
Actually,
brother.
your cousin twice removed.
Yeah.
So would he be he having the same last name? I would assume he's family of some kind to my character.
Yeah.
All right, well, I say off to find Prince Emil of House LaCroix.
Okay. So, you don't need to make a check for that, Donald.
I address it to Lucia, like specifically.
So what do I know about this prince?
You know he's your cousin. You know, I won't have you make a knowledge check. You know that, his father is, like, if the powers that be in Cheliax all got sick and died, he stands in line to get full rulership of Cheliax and not just be a noble house. You know, Umil is he'd be, like, hypothetically right now, if Umil's father became the, like, emperor of Cheliax, he'd be third in line behind his older brother. You know, Umil's mother died in childbirth, and you know, he was born with, like, really bright blue eyes, and as he grew up, his hair, like, once he started growing, it never, like, it's just like a bright silvery color. It's never really been confirmed because it kind of became like the elephant in the room for your family, but, like, he is certainly an Azamar.
Okay, so someone definitely made a deal with a celestial, or somehow there was some chemistry going on to explain all this. This would be core drama.
It's a thought. You're not necessarily sure if somebody made a deal with a celestial, or, like, maybe there's a little bit of celestial heritage in your blood that just kind of manifested itself.
Cool. So would I have an idea why he would be on the run? Did something happen to cause him to go this way?
That would need some kind of check.
So knowledge, nobility.
Sure.
So 17.
17. You don't know, like, any specifics on why he might have done it. You know, like, he never really fit in growing up. He's always been really quiet and really withdrawn. You guys were pretty close. Well, how you feel is how you feel, but he was always really, like, attached to you. He would, the dude is pretty weak. He has a basic grasp of magic, and he's been trained, at, like, the fighting styles of, like, the Taldan emperors and stuff like that. Like, the dude knows his way around, like, a rapier, essentially. But again, he never really fit in, so he could have, like, for all you know, he might have taken off to join the rebellion. For all you know, maybe he's trying to, like, prove his worth to his family by, like, going in and fighting. It's hard to say. You guys haven't spoken since you've been off, like, gone to Geb with your father. I should probably also say that, you know, when he's about your age, when you guys were really young, there was an attempt on his father's life made, and your father happened to be there, and he, like, the story goes that an assassin broke in at night and tried to kill Prince Umil, and your father happened to be staying, like, in the same house, and he stopped the assassin by killing the assassin, but in the process, like it's been spun that your dad was trying to have your cousin assassinated, and your family, like your part of the LaCroix family, has fallen from grace a little bit over the course of this. It's another thing you guys just kind of don't talk about.
Oh, cool. I see. Normal family business, pretty much.
Yeah, more or less.
This is something definitely need to talk to talk to him about.
Yeah, first you would need to find him though.
Yeah, I didn't know LaCroix was a drink name. I just used a name from Vampire the Masquerade Bloodline.
Yeah, I
Is
forgot
Oh
to.
yeah, it's
LaCroix not a
fucking
drink in
terrible, and
Canada?
don't mix it with vodka.
Is LaCroix not a drink in Canada?
I never heard of it. There probably is. Are places that sell it, but I never seen one.
It's kind of like a hipster water.
I know what it is.
It's just a sparkling drink.
You can't. I don't think you can buy it up here, but I know what it is.
It's really gross.
It is.
Yeah,
It's
it is.
nasty hipster water.
I was gonna say it's just flat hipster water.
My dad
Other flat hipster waters are available.
So hearing the news, so
Sarah, you would recognize the name too. Not as
LaCroix?
like no, like the prince that we are talking about, you would recognize that name. Not as familiarly as like someone's cousin, but you know it's a like again, he's 3 steps and a couple assassinations away from being the leader of the Cheliax Empire.
Okay. And I'm there.
Yeah, you're there.
Okay.
So what else does the message say? Does it say which way Poe's going?
Well, Van,
No.
it does not.
So what does the group want to do? We are in a fort town for the time being.
It's not a town so much as like it's an old abandoned imperial fort.
Kill them.
What?
Not kill the Imperials. That's what I want to do.
Right.
Kill
Okay,
everyone in the
yeah.
fort.
Okay, if you said that, are you sure you want to do that?
That would have been a strange logical jump to make.
Kill all of the Imperials? Yes, I'm sure I want that.
Well, we had a plan, didn't we?
Yeah.
Well, yes, let's use that plan.
Okay. You guys have no idea really like where the bad guys are right now. You know it's farther away than where you are. There hasn't been a whole lot of word back at the fort in a couple of days. You imagine like that's because the fighting is going on somewhere else.
Do they know where the fighting's going on?
They do not.
Well, then I guess we wait for our scouts.
Okay. Does anybody have anything else who's not Van have anything else they want to do before we pass it to the scout one more time and then call it a night?
How much time would pass for the scout to come back?
That depends on Van.
Does the bug ever come? The wasp ever come back to me?
Your wasp does return, and your wasp it does the same thing. It plays the holographic message of everybody marching into the fort, and you become
Right.
aware that these guys have the rest of the armies at the fort.
Okay. No, I mean, my assumption was that he was nearby and that we were going to relatively nearby, and that if we saw something, we would send word back. But
Okay.
it didn't make sense to have everybody not that aren't sneaky or that are squishy to be running around with us. So
Right. Okay, so if anybody in the fort has any other final actions, we'll take it now, and if they don't, we'll see what Van wants to do with the scouts, and then we'll call it a night there.
time that would take for him to get back, I would probably begin crafting, working on my armor.
You can start, yeah. What
Yeah.
specifically do you want to do, though?
I would just be enchanting it with a +1 bonus. It's only cost like 500 gold to finish it, so it'd be like a less than. It would be about 4 hours of work.
It's 8 hours of work. Everything is a
Oh.
minimum of 1 day.
Okay, so I get.
Let me see.
I do some work on it.
Let me see what the DC is real quick. Go ahead and make a spellcraft check.
I think it's like 5, and then it's like 1 added the level.
Yeah, like I said, go ahead and make that spellcraft check. That passes. I'm not sure what the DC is, but that's fine.
Most
I know it's
magic
10 plus something. I just don't know for the enhancement bonus what that's like. If you were trying to make a keen weapon, you have to be level 10, and I don't remember exactly what the DC was, but that's why I looked up at first. I'm sure a 24 more than beats it. So in 8 hours, you spend 2,000 gold, or however much you need to spend for a +1 on crafting.
It would be 500 gold for crafting purposes.
I don't think that's 500 gold.
It would be armor. It's 1,000 gold to buy the enchantment.
Oh, yeah,
just
you're
to
right.
make
I'm
it.
thinking weapons. Yeah, you're right. Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, I was thinking 2,000. That would be like a +2 armor bonus, maybe.
Okay, fair enough. All right, so if no one else has anything they want to do in the fort, we will pass it to Van to see what he wants to do with the scouts before we call it.
We're just out to see if we can track down this
Okay.
thing,
So
the prince. So I'm assuming for next time,
yeah,
we'll be asking the cat and any of the trackers or scouts or anything if they can pick up a trail.
okay, fair enough. In that case, we will go ahead and end it here. Thanks for watching, guys. We will see you next time.